In 5, 4, 3, let's do it. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Creator Town Hall, the first one for the month of May here on Studio Live today. And that rhymes, so I hope you are doing fine. That doesn't rhyme so well. On the Creator Town Hall today, we're doing a bunch of pretty cool stuff, or at least I think it's pretty cool. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of how I actually do all of my metadata, my tags and descriptions for a YouTube video. I've just got one that I've clipped from last week's show, and we're going to go through that. I'm going to show you how I use TubeBuddy to enhance it. I'm going to show you how I use Canva to create thumbnails for videos as well. We've got a bunch of other stuff that we're going through too. I'm going to talk about vocal recording and give you some of my tips that I've learned over the years. And we're going to break down a brand new video from Warren Hewitt over at Produce Like a Pro. He's got his 5 rules of mixing video, and I thought we would break that down and go through those. And I'll let you know what I think, because I never like rules. I think as soon as you say rules, as soon as you're black and white in the world of creativity, it doesn't really gel with me. I like the idea of having guidelines, having rules, hard and fast rules. Yeah, it just doesn't really sit well with me. Welcome to the folks who are here live. I've got a question for you. I've decided we're going to start each show with a question so that you've got something to participate in straight away. And I'm going to ask you this. Does song order matter on an album? So if you're like me and you love listening to albums, I hold up my phone because that's what I listen to music on now. You love listening to albums and EPs as opposed to just singles or playlists. How important is the song order? Is it very important? Kind of important, not important at all? Do you just shuffle? Were you one of those folks back in the day that you'd throw your CD on and you'd shuffle it? Not so good if you got a record or a cassette. We were kind of forced to listen to the order there. But did you shuffle? Do you like the order? Do you think that an album needs to tell a story? Does it need to be thematic? What do you reckon? I've got my own opinions on this and my own views, which I'll tell you in just a moment. But before we do that, let's say good day to the fine folks who are here live in the chat. We've got Mr. Mark, Bro, Joe, and Barry Glenn here representing. We've got Tom Rochelle here. We've got Barry again. Hello to Dean Thomas. Haven't chatted to you for a while, Dean. Hope you're doing well. Maury P's here. The one and only Jade Star. O'Neill and Jones. Did I see you've got another new song, or am I making that up? A premiere? Was there a premiere recently, O'Neill and Jones? Let me know. We've got, who else have we got? I have an idea. Hello to you. Hope you are doing well as well. Brad Example is here as well. So yeah, once again, the question we're asking to start the show today is, does the song order matter on an album? Jade Star says, yes, it matters so much. There you go. So yep, we've got a vote for yes. Dean Thomas believes it is critically important to the flow of an album. So there you go. You've got a yes, you've got a definite yes, and you've got a critical yes. Wonder if we've got any other views here. Anyone think it doesn't matter? What am I doing? Oh, I'm playing. Speaking of Jade Star, I was playing her show there, and it was playing in the background, and then it just popped on to the next episode. I was like, who's talking at me? Who's talking to me there? Gustafet, hello to you, says, yes, definitely. Definitely does matter what the order is. PF says it depends. Yeah, that's probably the right answer, isn't it? Tom Rochelle says, if you have a concept or theme, you should, in my opinion, then it's critical. If not, it's still important to keep the listener's interest. Yeah, Mark says, it does, in most cases, it does well. Yeah. Hi, P. You should give Beatmaker some acknowledgement. Beatmaker, consider yourself acknowledged. Yeah, I should. And I'll talk about that later. When we go through some of the video creation stuff I'm going to talk about, I'll show you some things, and we'll maybe look at whether there's things like Beatmaker and Nano Studio and these other apps that I should be covering. Is it a good idea for me to cover them? Is there enough interest in them? I'm going to show you a little tool called TubeBuddy that may be able to tell us that. Greg Ouellette says, yes, indeed. O'Neill and Jones, just an acoustic version of Broken Shoes. Technically new, but not worth shouting about. Well, I'm going to shout about it anyway. New O'Neill and Jones. There you go. Sorry, I'm a bit amped up today. I'm happy. Yeah, it's Monday morning. I had a bit of a sleep in. I had a weekend away where I got to play live acoustic music in a bunch of cool locations. So I'm pretty amped up, pretty happy. Rebecca Rowlands here says, yes, it's important. Got anyone else? Any other opinions? Barry Glenn says, not for me. I've never consciously bought a theme album except for Quadrophenia. I remember when Quadraphonics were the big thing, weren't they? back in the day. Yes. So my view on this is that I do think it's important. There's so many albums that I love, and whenever I listen to them, I do have to listen to them in order. So my favorite album of all time is probably Anima by Tool, and that is not really a concept album, but it does flow. It's got certain songs that work well, and when I hear a song on that album, in my head, I hear the next song. I can hear the order. Radiohead's OK Computer is the same. Nirvana's, what's the Smells Like Teen Spirit one? Nevermind. It took a while. Nirvana's Nevermind is the same. Pearl Jam, both 10 and Versus, the same. And Vitalogy for that matter. So a lot of the albums that I grew up with that I love, Green Day's Dookie, none of these are concept albums. And it's not that important that they're in order, but in my head, it's important. I think like albums versus, like the whole concept of albums versus singles and playlists, and the fact that singles and playlists are so popular now and albums have become unpopular, I think it's the same with this, that the importance has decreased over time, but I think it's still there. I've done one album ever, done some EPs and other things, and in fact, it was the same with the EP. So with my album, Selfish Aware, I did want to tell a story through that album, so it did have a bit of a flow. My last EP, what was that called? Perfect? No. When you don't remember the names of your own albums, that's maybe. Oh, God. That's a bit of a sad one, isn't it? Yeah, so my last EP called Maybe, I had to jump over here to DistroKid to remember what it was called. This one was definitely a concept album or EP, and it definitely sort of told a story here. So it's this one here. So I had No Apologies, Hold On, Fence Sitter, Things Have Changed, Perfect. So this told a story, and I haven't really talked about it in this sort of detail, but it was telling the story of my struggles with the juggling of a day job, a family life, and a side hustle. So No Apologies was, maybe I spread things a little too thin and talked about the whole concept of, hey, yeah, maybe I'm not perfect, maybe I'm not doing everything the right way, but it says I'm running as fast as I can. So I'm doing the best that I can. Hold On was like a memo to myself to say, hey, it's going to take a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be quick. Hold on. Fence Sitter sort of sits in the middle deliberately, and that basically says that, yeah, you know what? I am a fence sitter. I get criticised for not having a strong enough opinion one way or the other. Sometimes I like to sit on the fence, and I got in trouble for that at work, and not in trouble, but I got criticised for that in my work life, and not in my home life, but in my professional life here, because people are like, just take a stand, Johns. And then Things Have Changed is like sort of the pivotal part, because that's like, yes, things have actually changed. That was around the start of the C word and what was going on there. And then Perfect, which just says life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. So for me, I found that was really important to have that song order together to tell a story and to take the listener on a journey. So I'm sounding wanky today, aren't I? Take the listener on a journey. Bubba says, I do the same no matter where I hear a song too. Yeah, it's the same. Where you've got that point where you're like, you hear that song. And it's bad if you hear it on the radio and then they don't play the next song. And then in your head, you're singing along. You're like, I don't want to hear this other band. I want to hear the next song on that original album, yeah? O'Neill and Jones say the albums we love could never work in a different track order, but if they were recorded before we ever heard them, we'd probably insist on that that was the definitive order. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's exactly. Like there is no sort of yes, no, black, white, right, wrong, because it could be totally different. If OK Computer didn't start with, what does that start with? Airbags? Is that the name of the song? Should know that by now. Then yeah, maybe I'd say, if Karma Police was the first song, I'd go, okay, well that's just how they decided. That's what they wanted. So there you go. Hello to Gino Therese, who's dropped on in. Hope you're doing well. What about B-sides? How does that fit in? Yeah, it's an interesting one too, isn't it? B-sides. So when you've got a single, the whole concept of B-sides, a lot of folks are under the age of maybe 30 probably don't even really know what a B-side means. So back in the day, you'd have your single. So you'd have your 7-inch vinyl single, and you'd fit one track on each side. So this was a 45, like a single record. And so you'd have one side, which would be your single, your hit song, and then the other side would be a B-side. Now this would sometimes be an album track, but more often than not, it would be like a non-album track. It would be like a track that didn't quite make the album. So let's say you released an album that had 12 tracks on it. You'd release your first single. You didn't want someone to get that and an album track Otherwise, especially if they were like the two best songs, then you've given away like nearly a fifth of your whole album. So you'd put the single and a B-side, which was like one that didn't make the album. It was just sort of an also ran kind of track. So that's where that concept came from. These days, when I release a single, I don't have a B-side. I'm not creating songs, and if anything's left off, it kind of just goes on the cutting room floor. Now, what I did do is for me, I did an EP, which is, I've got to find it now. I can't remember the name of any of my own stuff here today. It was called Own Battle. There it is. So I did an EP, and this was kind of a catch-up of all the songs that I didn't. A couple of them I released as singles, but they didn't make an album or an EP on their own, but I wanted them to actually be on here. So Never to Blame, Imagination, which you heard as the theme song of this show, Things Change, Wasting Time, 6 and 8, We're Trying to Have a Society here. So all of those were kind of my B-sides. But yeah, what do you reckon? Are B-sides a dead art form? Do we not even care about B-sides anymore? I don't know. Inside Bilderberg, not Build-A-Bear. I hope you're doing well. I have to say that every time. Hey to RX2, I hope you are doing well as well. Joe Glenn says, often the B became the favourite. Interesting you say that. I don't know many singles, but I actually bought, when the Foo Fighters first came out, I bought a copy, because I don't know, I thought it would be like worth something one day. I bought a copy of the first single from the first album. It's called I'll Stick Around, and it's not, This Is a Call, sorry. This Is a Call. And on the B side, it had a tune called Winnebago, which to this day happens to be one of my favourite Foo Fighters songs of all time. I can't play any of it here, but I'm sure it would just be here on YouTube. Let's just search Foo Fighters Winnebago. It's just a really cool rockin' track. Yeah, there it is. So this is actually, and I love the album cover of this one, the Foo Fighters with the planes and the UFO there. So I actually own the 7-inch vinyl that looks exactly like that one, and Winnebago is the B-side of that track, and it just rocks. It just really, really rocks. Gino's saying the Foo Fighters album, the first one, is my favorite. Yeah, it's between that and The Colour and the Shape for me. They're both right up there. Yeah. PF says, and LPs as well, all the good songs used to be on the A side. Yeah, that is true. So because it was an actual physical effort to flip over and go to the B side, yeah, you did tend to find that a lot of your best songs, if you had 12 songs, 6 on side A, 6 on side B, side A you just play again and again, because you'd usually have, your best songs usually sit, and another interesting topic might be to talk about the order of songs. Your good songs often sit around sort of between 2 and 5. That's that sweet spot. You never open with your best song. I don't know what it is. It's almost like, you don't want to just cut to the chase too soon. But albums seem to never open with the best song. They'll normally have the best song around about track 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the sweet spot. Very rarely anything past 6 or 7, because you're just going into the end of the album. So you don't want to peak too soon, but you don't want to leave it too late. Some of Killing Joke's best songs were B-sides. Same with Sweet. There you go. Tom was saying, just thinking yesterday how I miss hidden bonus tracks at the end of the last song of an album. That was a big thing for a while. And it was, especially on CDs. When CDs first came out, there were bonus tracks that you had at the very end. So you'd play the last track, and on the track listing it would say, oh, it's only 4 minutes. And you get to the end on your CD player, and if you forgot to turn it off, it would just keep going, and you'd be like, oh, a hidden track, because there was no internet or anything back. Well, it was, but it was very infant state internet. So you'd be listening to an album. Green Day's Dookie, I talked about that before, but that is one album that actually has a hidden track. So if you play this one here, the Green Day's full album of Dookie, and I don't know if this would actually have it on there. So I don't know if someone's just ripped the full album and thrown it on here, if they'd have it. Let's have a look at this one at the full playlist and see if it actually has it there. Yeah, there it is. So this last track, All By Myself, you can't see it there. I'll just take away Tom's thing there. And take away that banner. So this one down the bottom here, All By Myself. So FOD was the last official track. If you looked at the track listing of the original album Dookie, it had FOD. But All By Myself is this little song that plays, I think, 5 or 10 minutes after the final track, because Green Day's whole album's only like 38 minutes, because all the songs are 2 minutes long. That's where I get it from. But they had this song that was, I was alone, I was all by myself. Yes, it's a song about, yes, anyway, but yeah, it's very, very cool because, yeah, you had these bonus tracks. And then they found ways to actually put a bonus track before the start. So they could actually burn it in as like track -1. And you had to have a certain type of CD player. And what you'd do is you'd play the track, you play track 1, and you'd go backwards. You'd skip back a track, and it would go to this like hidden -1 track. And there'd be something like right there on the very edge of the CD that didn't play unless you went backwards. So yeah, all cool things, all little cool Easter eggs that you used to have back in the day. What else do we got here? RX2 says that concept albums were always my favorite. Order was so important. Yeah, it definitely is. Hello to Autism Rocks. I hope you are doing well. Hope you're rocking over there in Florida. And I hope everyone's doing well, by the way. Hello, Bubby. Just renamed you to Bubby. Bubby's saying Danny, so I said Bubby. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well. I know there's some challenges. Shout out and love to my folks, to my friends in India. I know you're having a really rough trot. I know that across Europe and the UK and the US and Canada, there are still challenges and folks are still working through. So please stay safe and and look after yourselves because we want to be around to keep creating and keep rocking and rolling. And you know the safest thing to do right now is to sit in your studio and record music. Yeah. Do some home recording. It's going to work out for you. All right, let's go into our what is our feature topic here today, and that is I wanted to look at this video. Warren Hewitt. If you don't know who Warren Hewitt is, he is he's a YouTube creator. And if you've ever watched him, he's the guy, British guy from Produce Like a Pro, who says, "I hope you're doing marvelously well." I'm not going to do an impression because there's a court mandate out now on me doing any further impressions. After my last attempts at Patrick from the GarageBand Guide, there's now a court order in place that prevents me from doing any further impersonations. So I have to be wary of that. But here is the video. The 5 rules of mixing. It was from 6 days ago, and it's got 29,000 views. It is worth a watch. I've linked it down in the description of this video under the show notes. So jump in and watch the whole video yourself afterwards if you want to. It's 28 minutes long, but it's a quick watch. Like it goes through because there's so much detail and so much content in there. And Warren is just a super engaging dude that you're going to get through it quickly. But what I thought is I'm going to cut to the chase here and give you the 5 tips that Warren put out there. Still definitely go and watch the video, but I want your thoughts on these as well. Do you agree, disagree? Should rules even exist in mixing? That's the first thing. I don't know. We'll talk about it. So the first thing that Warren talked about was creating balance is a rule of mixing. So balance in terms of your volume, in terms of your panning, in terms of your EQ. And that one of the most important things is to get a static mix where things are balanced. You don't want everything to be all over on the left or all over on the right. You don't want your kick drum to be way up and your snare drum to be way down. You don't want your guitars to be super loud and your vocals to be super quiet sitting under the mix. So that is sort of rule number 1. And this is something that I tend to actually use when I'm mixing because I have been mixing. Let's see if this is going to work. Am I still sharing here? I am. So I'm mixing a song at the moment. I'm mixing this tune, which is my Back to the Future inspired tune at the moment. And if you watch my mixing video, one of the first things I did here, is my mouse going to work here? No, I'm on the wrong setting. Where are we, mouse? No, that's my Mac. Is that my iPad? There we go. So yeah, I'm here mixing this, and the first thing I kind of did with this is a static mix. So I came in here and I got all my levels sitting right so that all of my different instruments were in the right zone. So I do think that a static mix is important, but I'm interested. Is that something that you do? Is getting your mix right? Do you focus in on your volume levels and your panning and make sure that everything there is sitting right first? Or do you go off and do other things? I don't know. And is it a rule? If you don't do it, is that bad? And this is the thing that gets to me. Whenever I hear rules, I get a little bit concerned. I don't know. There you go. So Inside Bilderberg watched it yesterday, as did Gino Therese. So you were already all over it. And if you have already watched it, then you'll already know it. But if you haven't, you can watch along. So that's sort of number 1. Number 2 was using plugins too early in a mix. So jumping in here and instead of going, oh yeah, I'll just get my mix right, just going, oh well, I'll just throw a bunch of compression on here and I'll do a bunch of EQ and I'll do a bunch of other moves. I'll come in here to my effects which I don't have here. I'll go into my effects and I'll just add in a bunch of stuff to try and make it. And the one point that he made a lot in this section was about EQ. That a lot of people just go in and they just start EQing everything really early on. They'll EQ their vocals, they'll EQ their guitars, they'll EQ all of the different instruments before they've done a static mix. And therefore, they're influencing and impacting things. And I've said this a lot, and I think Jade Starr has said it in recent shows as well. EQ should be there to fix things when you need it. If you're getting it right at the source, you shouldn't need a whole lot in the way of EQ. EQ is a good thing if you want to enhance something by boosting it, or if you want to use subtractive EQ, if you've got a frequency that's too noisy. And the best uses of EQ, which Warren gets to in a future tip, is to actually reduce down your low end. Because a lot of your tracks don't need much bass at all. So they don't need a whole lot of low end. And if you're getting any sort of rumble or you're getting any sort of noise in your vocals, in your guitars, in your strings, in your acoustics, in your bass, well, not your bass, in your instruments, then you may want to use what's called a high pass or a low cut filter. And I've showed this in previous videos. In fact, I'll give you a quick demo here because I showed it on a, hang on, I've just got to reload. I brought up GarageBand here and it had puppies. I showed it in a previous video where we looked at the LRC, the LRC7, here it is, LRC7 mixer, EQ plugin. And because I've loaded GarageBand after Cubasis, it's going to have puppies here and it's not going to work. So we'll have to close out. But maybe I won't show that and tempt fate here today. Well, if things are working, maybe we'll just leave it. We'll just try one more time so that I can show you a visualization of this. There, that's looking better. Boom. So there it is. So that's what you do in terms of a high pass filter. All you're doing is grabbing and rolling off all of the sounds below a certain level. And you can do the same at the top. You can do a low pass filter, which means you're only passing sounds below a certain level. So if you're getting build up in the low end, or if you're getting build up in the top end that you want to try and remove, then grabbing an EQ and removing that like that is something you can do. But again, Warren's tip is don't do that too soon. Don't get in there and jump in and start EQing to your heart's content until you've got your static mix sorted out. Tip number 3 is don't use plugins too late. So yeah, it's one of those things, and this is why I don't think it's really rules, because rules are like always do this, always do that. He basically said, don't use plugins too early, but don't hang around and wait. And I agree with this too, because what he said is start shaping and start fixing some of the things that you need to. So if there is something sticking out in a vocal that you need to EQ and you want to come in here and you want to grab some EQ and you're like, oh, my vocal just needs a little bit of sweetening up the top here, or there's this one frequency that I really don't want in there, then yeah, you can start changing some of those things. You can start using compression. I use compression pretty early on because it really gives me an indication of where it's going to sit. I often just turn the compressor on when I record vocals and just leave it on because I find that that's an easy way to do things as well. So that's the other thing. Don't just leave it all to the end. When I first started, I got some terrible advice, and tell me if you've done this or if you consider this yourself. The terrible advice was record everything in completely clean, no effects, no compression, no EQ, and then save all of your mixing to the end. And I took this advice and I struggled through because I got no life in my guitars. I got no life in my vocals. I couldn't hear the song coming together. So if I had added a little reverb, a little delay, some compression, some EQ, doesn't have to be what you're going to have at the final mix. But if you put nothing in there, I just found personally that I couldn't hear the song coming through. And just adding a little bit of that sprinkling early, mixing as you go, was something that really worked out for me. What do you think? Let me know. Mark says, I watched it also. To me, they're more like guidelines and common sense when you know what you're doing. Yeah, and that's exactly right. And I think it's more that the YouTube algorithm thing where it's like, if you go 5 rules for mixing, Warren's team probably looked up and probably used something like TubeBuddy that we'll look at later and went, let's do some keyword research. 5 guidelines for mixing. No one's searching that. 5 rules for mixing. Oh, look, everyone's searching that. Let's go with that. I mean, it may not be, but if Warren's a smart creator and has a good team, which he is and he does, then that's what they would have done, and that's why they would have used rules instead of guidelines or principles or whatever you might want to say there. So that was rule number 3. Rule number 4, and this is interesting for me right now because I've been getting super excited because I've been using Cubasis as opposed to GarageBand on my latest song. So I'm just going to load Cubasis back up here in the background. I've been using this one, Cubasis, and this has a master bus. So yeah, we can come in here to our master bus if we scroll on across. And you can actually add effects to the master bus. You can add this master strip, which has a multi-band compressor, stereo imager, loudness maximizer, and we've got a brick wall limiter in there as well. Now, Warren's 4th tip was don't use these master plugins too early. So there's a concept, and I think Graham Cochran over at what is the name of his channel? Someone help me out. I remember produce, mix. And Joe Gilder's Home Studio Corner. These folks have talked about that. And what they basically say is once you've got your mix here, instead of going into each individual track and adding things like compression and all the other, and EQ, start by going to your mix bus because you can just fix a lot of that by just putting EQ or compression or multiband compression on your master track. And then you can go back and tweak your individual tracks if you want. And they call it top-down mixing. Now, Warren's basically come out and said, don't do that, because what tends to happen is let's just say with this track here, I have a bass, because I do. Let's just solo this bass. It's a synth bass here, and it sounds like this. Let's just say that was super overloaded, super muddy in the low to mids. If I just said, hey, my overall track that sounds like this, if I thought, oh, there's too much mud down in the low end, I know a quick way to fix it is to come in here and to grab this and go to my master strip and then just reduce down, like EQ out the bottom end or reduce the amount of compression that I have on the low end or maybe up the compression at the top end. That'll work, but it's also impacting every other track. And what if there's some tracks in there? What if the kick drum actually needs that thud down in the 50 hertz or 100 hertz? I could be impacting that as well as this. So Warren's point here was, instead of going to your mix bus and making your changes there, saying, oh, there's too much low end, there's too much high end, find where it's coming from and then tweak the tracks. So actually do your mixing on the individual channels as opposed to the overall mix bus. What do you think about that? Look, I have used top-down mixing before where I've thrown things on the master channel. It does work well, but Warren's point here was that it's really easy to get an okay mix doing that. It makes it harder to get an exceptional mix doing that. So I don't know. I'm on the fence here because I'm all for ease, and let's keep in mind, Warren is a professional. He's in a professional studio. He's got a big SSL console in front of him. He's at the high. He's mixed Aerosmith songs, for goodness sake. So he's at the high end. He's not necessarily at the home studio creator level. So for someone creating in the home studio, maybe using top-down mixing is going to be a thing. Thank you so much, Vidal and the Shadowy Figures. I had your song 1.21 appear in my head a few times last week. It's an earworm. Yeah, we'll be listening to it a bit later. So yeah, apologies for that. It'll probably be back in your head again. And I'm actually going to show you how we can, I'm going to finish it here and then create a visualization using a little app called Visibel, which you may have used before, which is very cool. Gino says, I was watching Tony Visconti discuss Bowie's Heroes and they printed it with FX to get a good performance. Yeah, sometimes you just want to actually record in through compression or through EQ and just bake it in. A lot of studios do this. They bake in that sound. They bake in the compression on the vocals right up front because then the singer, the performer, knows what it's going to sound like. Absolutely. Maury's got a point back to the full album thing. Isn't Spotify the counter argument to releasing full albums, themed or not? Isn't it about producing for Spotify? Is it all about producing for Spotify? Depends. And maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll go off into a tangent on that one there because it really depends on your why. We've talked about this in previous shows. What is your why? Why are you producing? Is it for you? Is it to be a pop producer, to be the most popular, to get as many listens and streams as possible? Then, yeah, you probably want to do what Drake does, what a lot of other really famous creators do now, which is that they just release 10 singles. They'll go single, next month, single, next month, single, just churning out singles every month. End of 10 months, release an album of 10 singles. Doesn't really matter the order then. So, yeah, I think from a modern pop music perspective, I think you're spot on, Maury. Absolutely. Let's see. We've got anyone. So Tom Rochelle says, Where are we? Top-down mixing, yep, was just reading about that earlier today. Didn't really make much sense to me, to be honest. I mix on the go as well. I don't like to add anything to the master bus except maybe some light compressor until everything is tracked. Mark says I also mix as I go. I insert some compression and light reverb to give some life to it. When all the tracks are recorded, I remove everything, mix, and then add the final effects. And yeah, that's probably a nice hybrid. If you do want, and I do that as well. I do a faders down mix. So on this track, the video I did about mixing this one, I literally did a faders down mix. So I mixed as I went, but I wasn't happy with the combination that I had there. So I literally put every fader down to 0 or minus infinity, and then I brought them back up, and I mixed in my bass, I mixed in my instrumentals, mixed in my vocals, and made sure I had a balanced mix. So that is, of course, another option. And I think what we're learning here, like we always do, is that the rules are, there are no rules, basically. Hello, it's Gary Hubbs. Hope you're doing well, Gary Hubbs. Where are we at? Where are we at? Number 5, we are, of Warren Hewitt. So we're reviewing the Produce Like a Pro video that Warren Hewitt released a few days ago, just because I thought it was interesting. It's this one here. It was interesting to just get a feel for what a professional, and I trust Warren Hewitt, he knows his stuff. What are his 5 rules of mixing? Do we agree with them? Do we think that they are rules, or are they more guidelines? That's what we're looking at. So let's move to number 5, and that was to always be thinking globally and not use solo. Hands up who gets into the very bad habit of soloing their stuff and then adding compression, adding EQ, adding effects, and it sounds great. That soloed vocal sounds epic. And then you bring it back into the mix, and what happens? It sounds horrible. It's all muddy. It's all cruddy. You don't like it. Well, that's because no one's listening to your song in solo. So this is one thing that I agree with Warren almost 100% on. And that is, I've got into the trap of doing this before, where you listen in solo. You're not listening to the entire track. And if you're trying to mix and you're trying to add effects to especially things like vocals or guitars, bass, or anything really, and you're doing it in solo, and it's really not going to work for you. Let's go for a quick demo here. So if we come in here to my track, which I can't show you because I'm there. So if I was trying to EQ this vocal, I wanted to add some effects to this vocal. If I'm listening to this vocal, I could go, all right, here it is, and let's play it. 1985, late for class, but feeling fine 'cause I have a rock and roll band. So it's sounding okay. I'm getting some clicks and pops there. I think I need to come in here and change my audio. So yeah, I've got this for super low latency. I need to give away a little latency while I'm mixing here. So yeah, what I could do, you can see I've come in here and I've changed all of these things. Look, I've got a channel strip, 2 delays, a chorus, another reverb, a studio EQ there, and I've got wider on there to give some stereo width. So if I was doing all of this and starting to make tweaks and only had that soloed, I can't hear what that's doing to the rest of the mix. So what should you be doing? Well, every time I'm coming in here and I'm tweaking something like this reverb, I should have it on here, because at the moment, I'll just remember, I've got 5% mixed in. If we had this soloed, so let's say we have this soloed and we wanted to come in here and we're mixing in. We're saying, okay, how much of this reverb do we want? Well, at the moment we've got 5%. Let's just tweak it. Late for class, but feeling fine 'cause I have a rock and roll band. We might go, hey, 20% sounds good. It doesn't. But 20% sounds good in this mix. But then when we bring it back into our overall mix, take a listen. 85, late for class, but feeling fine 'cause I have a rock and roll band. It's actually not too bad. I don't mind that. So maybe I do need a little bit more. But again, if we're playing with this and we're actually right here in the mix, it makes it easier to hear what that effect is going to do. Got a call from my older friend, working on a way to bend the space. So there you go. We're going to go with about 12%. And I was experimenting with, as you can see, there's something missing there, is this lead analog synth. I was experimenting with having this muted in the first verse. It's a little bit too vacant, isn't it? So it's actually like this. Back in 1985, late for class. Yeah, that's better. So that's kind of the final point there, is it is so much better to have your whole track playing. Solo is okay if you're doing things like editing. So if you want to edit out your breath sounds or you want to do some automation, But the majority of things are really better if you're listening to your whole track at once rather than being in solo. But I don't know. What's your opinion on that? I'd love to hear what you think. Let's see. Do we have some folks talking about exactly this? Mark Bro says, I never solo. I put out a song, not 6 individual tracks. That's exactly right. Got to think about who's listening and do they care what your vocal sounds like soloed? No. Unless you're going on Jade's channel and she's doing a behind the song on your track, then no, it really doesn't matter about that. I thought I saw someone else talking about, I think Bubba, was it Bubba that talked about soloing? I can't see now. There's so much chatter going on that I can't actually see. But yeah, there was Gino, said that I solo too much. Yeah, me too. I've spent too much time soloing and not enough time actually having everything together. Lucid Sound says, hey Pete, hello. I'm going to send you my project for mixing for modern producers or producer who make trap or hard hitting. Just need to know what email you use for your iCloud. Well, yeah, absolutely. Feel free to send me stuff. I don't have a heap of time and I can't always work on projects. So let me know if there's a project that you are working on that you think would be cool to collaborate on. As you probably saw, I did a track with Emil recently where I sang on his dance track. But yeah, for the most part, I'm at about 120% capacity at the moment. So as I said at the very start, I bite off more than I can chew. I've written songs about that before. So I'm very conscious. If you've contacted me lately and you're like, wow, Pete's really non-committal. He won't say yes to anything. It's because last year I said yes to way too much stuff and didn't get enough things finished and let people down by not being able to deliver on time. So instead of going through all of that now, I am saying no more often. For my own mental health and self-care, but also for you. And what I usually say, and this is a good segue, what I usually say is the best thing you can do is jump over to the Create, Record, Release Facebook group. Because why? We got a whole bunch of people over there that can help you out. Yes, that was the end of the Warren Hewitt mixing thing, by the way. I know we in this show, we kind of just randomly segue between things. But if you go over here, you can just go to createrecordrelease.com. There it is. You can see there's the announcement for this very show that you're watching now, a little bit meta. But if you go to createrecordrelease.com, join the Facebook group. I know you may not be a Facebook fan. If you're not, just join up. You don't have to let Auntie Myrtle and Uncle Kevin know that you're on Facebook if you don't want to have to communicate with them. Just create an account, make it private, and then join the Create, Record, Release group because we've got more than 800 people. We're 850 now, 852 folks there, and there's a heap of collaboration that goes on there. We've had people that have sung on other people's tracks. We've had virtual bands coming together and working on tunes. So it is a good way to collaborate. So if I can't help you out, there's probably going to be someone over there that wants to help you out and wants to collaborate. Let's have a quick drink before we move on. Yes, as PF is saying here, rule 6, don't take too much on. Yeah, exactly. If you take on too much, like I've learned over the years that I don't multitask well and I don't manage, like I like to have a few things on the go at once, but I get overwhelmed easily and I don't manage multiple priorities at once very well. I do a lot better when I have one thing, and then when I've got that one thing ticked off, I move on to another thing. It's why I produce videos the way I do. Every video I do is basically, I get up, I have a video idea, I record that video, I edit that video, I release that video, I promote that video, and then I move on to the next one. I don't do a lot of, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week shoots where I'm shooting B-roll or I'm shooting additional footage because it just doesn't work with me and my workflow. And as I say on this show all the time, there is no right, wrong, yes, no, black, white. It's all about you and your workflow. So use the software that's going to help your workflow, use the hardware that's going to work for your workflow, and do things in a way that is going to help you create, record, and release your best music, which is why we call it Create, Record, Release. I grabbed as soon as I started that Facebook group, I'm like, I'm going to create the Create, Record, Release Facebook group, and then I'm going to register createrecordrelease.com and just send it there, just to make it easy. Tom says, I really do both. I listen solo, then bring in the mix and adjust. I find it hard to focus and hear the details when everything's playing. And that's fair too. What I tend to do, so you heard there on the track that I was playing, you did hear the reverb effect a lot better. So if you want to hear what an effect's doing to a track, by all means. So for me here, if I had this in the mix, maybe I wasn't actually hearing, because I got so many plugins on this vocal chain, I wasn't really hearing what that one actual effect was doing. So maybe I'd want to solo it, hear what it's doing, and then go, okay, now my ear's tuned into what that's going to do. Now it's time to actually unsolo and bring it back in. So yeah, that's I think more the point, as opposed to just never put it in solo or you're evil. I think it's just use solo in moderation, and then make sure when you're doing your actual mix that you're bringing it back in. Desolate Morning says, yep, same things. Jeff Brush, sometimes perhaps you might hear something you don't like, can't quite pinpoint it, might need to solo some things to figure it out. Yeah, and exactly that. So the point we made before about, and it's kind of, everything is a little bit, not hypocritical, what's the word? It's contradictory. Because if you think about the fact that, we don't want to use our mix bus to do a lot of our mixing and do that top-down mixing all the time, yet we want to mix things together, we don't want to solo. But what if you can't find what instrument is creating some muddiness, and I'm not sure whether it is my kick drum, whether it's this beat, whether it's this bass? Well, I will need to solo those just so that I can hear those frequencies and go, okay, so it is the synth bass that's creating that sound around 50 to 100 hertz, that rumble. Not that I'd hear it in my headphones, because often headphones don't go down that low. But if I'm listening on monitor speakers and I'm hearing that rumble, then yeah, that may be the problem there. And again, with EQ, if you are doing EQ, subtractive EQ is generally better. I think there's nothing wrong with boosting something, and Warren Hewitt even said that in his video. Nothing wrong with boosting something, but don't always boost, and don't boost everything because you want to hear more of that. Sometimes the problem is not that you need more bass, it's that you need less mid-range or less treble. So maybe find those instruments that are too harsh in the mids and the treble and reduce them, then your bass will stand out by default. So yeah, it's not always about increasing, because if you keep increasing, you're going to run out of headroom at the top of your mix, and everything's going to sound all compressed and like a big jumbled muddy mess, and that's never a good thing for your creations. Alrighty, you've got chocolate in my peanut butter. Absolutely. Curtis Earth, hello to you. You've got a question? Yeah, by the way, I didn't really point it out at the start because we just jumped straight into chatting about mixing, but this is interactive. So if you do have questions, you can just put question in front of your comment, and I'll make sure that those are highlighted and that I can actually answer any questions that pop up, like this one from Curtis Earth. Hi, Pete. I hope you're well. What is the cube box on your couch in the background, and how are you using it? Good question. So, Curtis, the cube is actually my, I'll see if I can send a photo from here. The cube is my Roland Cube Street EX. It's an amplifier that I use for live shows, and I actually used it in my last 2 gigs. Here's a picture of my children. This is the cool thing about the Mac, is I can airdrop this over to my Mac. Hit the airdrop, Pete's Mac Mini. We'll bring this over here, and I'll be able to show you a quick image of it once it sends it across. Has it come? Come on. It's got a little arrow. It's going bing, 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 bing. Why can't it find it? Sent. It thinks it's sent. There it is. So I've received an item here, and we can open it and pop it over here. So this was my setup that I was using at a live gig yesterday. It's my kids that were putting it away. So this is the cube. It's a little portable stereo PA, and it's very cool. Can we zoom in on this? Zoom down the bottom there. Oh, can't do it. No. All right. You get the point. So it's a portable amp, and what I do is I plug into that, and you can plug your microphone, you can plug your guitar amp in there. Your guitar, acoustic guitar. You can use it as a line input. So I've plugged my iPad in there and iPhone. I was using it just to play music when I was down at the beach too, because it's very cool for that as well. So it's sort of a multi-purpose mini PA amplifier mixer effects processor. And I was using that for my happy hour gigs at the beach and then in the garden yesterday, and it does really well. So the good thing about that is that I can play it, it goes out, but because it has stereo line out, I got the stereo line out, plugged it into my audio interface, into my laptop, and then was able to stream using StreamYard. Just like I'm doing here now in the studio, I was able to do that while I was out and about, because all I needed was an audio interface plugged into my PC that had stereo line in, and then I could record and or stream, which is exactly what I did. So it's a very super good device. Why don't we actually? Do I have it? Because I haven't mentioned today, but like always, we do have a sponsor for today's show, and it's me. It's the Studio Live Today gear guide. So we'll take this moment to actually jump over here and check out the gear guide, because I'm not sure that I actually have it on here yet. And I need to actually change that because if you jump over here to studiolivetoday.com/gear, this is my gear guide. If you're looking to buy gear for your home studio or mobile studio and you buy from Amazon, Sweetwater, eBay or Thomann in any of these countries or regions, if you come here and you click that link, it will take you to the store. Any purchases you make, they break off a chunk with those affiliate links and they send it my way. So Curtis, if you're interested in the Roland Cube amp, jump over here to Sweetwater or Amazon and you can go ahead and find it. I haven't got it in the list here yet because I've only just started using it, but everything else here in my setup is in the list here. This is all of my current gear that I use in the home and mobile studio, and this was the audio interface, the Steinberg UR22C. This is the one that I was using. So I had this. So here you got your stereo input. I simply had stereo output from the Roland Street Cube Street, and that was going into here. So if we come in here and we search the Roland Street Cube EX, so this is that one. It is not a super cheap amp, but it is ridiculously good quality. You can see there, 50 watt. You got twin, you got stereo speakers in the front there, and look at all of that. Look at that I/O. Oh, I know. Look at how much input and outputting you can do. So all I was doing yesterday was I had my microphone plugged in there, set to mic mode. I had my guitar set here, and that's set to acoustic guitar. You can even change that around to be like, you can see there's an acoustic simulator, there's a clean, there's a crunch, there's a lead. So you can even plug an electric guitar in here and use some amp sims. I had no chorus or delay on there, but I had a little tiny bit of reverb from there. You've got 3-band EQs on both of those. So if you've got too much treble, too much bass, you can tweak that. I think I just had it all flat because it all sounded pretty good. Remember, EQ is to fix things when they're not right. You don't always have to add EQ. So you got all of that there. You've also got a line input there. So if I wanted to have backing tracks, I could put that in a standard stereo TRS line in. And then at the back here, you can actually see you've got line outputs. So all I did was I grabbed a TRS cable, stereo TRS, and I went from that line output. So you could still hear it. It's not like a headphone jack. You can still hear it for those that were listening in live, but it just meant I could also send an exact stereo, like a really high quality stereo signal from there. And that went straight back into the Steinberg. Here's one I prepared earlier. This one here, into the stereo input there. And then that was just my audio signal. So it's a good way to perform live, but then also be able to stream or record at the same time with the gear there. So once again, the Stereo Gear Guide if you are in the market for some gear for your studio. And guess what? I just added something cool because a few people have asked. They've said, what's that t-shirt you're wearing there? So this one here that I've got is the Without Music Life Would Be Flat. I've bought a few t-shirts recently and people are like, where do you get those t-shirts? I want one. Well, guess what? I've made it easy for you. I've added t-shirts to the Gear Guide. So not only can you pick up the Studio Live Today and the GarageBand Users t-shirts, but the Oasis tee that I wear, this one here, my Never Forget, the tape and the record and thing, was it? Tape and disc and VHS tape. And this is my new favorite. I've just ordered this one that's coming. I'll give you a sneak preview here. This one here, these are difficult times, right? Oops, that's the wrong one. There you go. Look at that. These are difficult times. 13/8 and 6/4. They're difficult times. I don't know. I struggle with 5/4. I would have put 5/4 amongst there as well because that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I find that a difficult time. Anyway, I like those because they're, you're walking around and no one's paying attention to you, and then you'll see someone spotting you and you know that they're a muso because they're just like, ha, B flat. Ha, I gotcha. So there you go. You can now get your t-shirt on and support the channel at the same time because again, those are affiliate links. They break off a small chunk and send it my way, and that way we keep the lights on because without you using the Gear Guide, we would look a bit like this, and that's no good. And we might even look a bit like this, and that's no good at all. So we need your support around here at Studio Live Today to help keep the lights on. Oh, I've realized I've got a little bit of thing in the corner. There you go. So long explanation for a short thing. Thank you, Tom, who has dropped that one down there. We've got some more questions. Let's do a bit of Q&A first while we've got the time. By the way, thanks, Joe. Yeah, CRR was very helpful and has helped me out a few times. Yeah, Joe is a great proponent of what Create, Record, Release can do, because Jo shares her tracks there. She gets really good, really detailed feedback from other creators who are helping her and Barry create really good songs. And you only have to listen to the stuff. There was nothing wrong with what you were producing a year ago, but you look at the journey and the progression of the production on your audio and your video and everything. It's amazing. So, yeah, Jo and Barry Glenn are an absolute indication of what you can get with a little bit of support. What you can get by with a little help from your friends. There you go. And about EQ, Mark says, yeah, if you start reducing, you'll see exactly where you need to boost. Spot on. Sion says, based on your live gig and over 6 months of use, would you have rather got the MacBook Air or the Mac Mini? Yeah, so that's a really good question. Really good question. I did think to myself over the weekend, because when I was traveling over the weekend, I was using my Windows laptop. So I have a Lenovo, it's an E580. It's a good laptop. It's 16 gig of RAM. It flies along, i7 processor, all the good stuff. So I have no problems with that, and it does well. But now that I'm in the Mac universe, it is a bit weird switching back to Windows. I did have a few times where I was like, oh, if I had my Mac, it would be doing this. But the reason that I do now, like I couldn't use the MacBook Air for what I was doing. I'll just show you the laptop that I use here. So this is the Lenovo ThinkPad that I use, and because it has a 15.4-inch screen, that's 1080p, I can actually get, so that's not a huge screen, but it's big enough to display my lyrics. So when I'm playing live, I have this set up, and you probably would have seen it if you watched the live gig. You would have just seen the corner of it like that, and I'm singing here. I've got the lyrics and the chords there. I can perform. The reason I don't use an iPad is that my iPad's only 11 inches. It's not big enough to do this, and it also can't really handle streaming with StreamYard the way that a PC can. It's about the only thing. Doing this right here, right now, live streaming is about the only thing I use a desktop computer at all for. Now, if I had the MacBook Air, it probably wouldn't have been what I wanted. What do I really need? Probably a 16-inch MacBook Pro. So my current kind of plan here is that eventually I'll upgrade the Mac Mini I have here to either the Mac, if the Pro level Mac Mini that I can have 32 gigabytes of RAM in, if that comes out with more ports, that's probably going to be the better desktop replacement for me. And then I'll just continue using this if I need a PC, or a new iPad Pro, because that's kind of thrown a spanner in the works, is that I don't know what my next purchase is going to be, because I could go the iPad Pro if that has better multi-monitor support in the future, because I do need 2 monitors, and at the moment the iPad Pro doesn't have 2 monitor support. You can have the iPad Pro and a second monitor. That's not enough for me. I need 2 full screen monitors to do what I do, so I can't really use that, but I could use a MacBook Pro. So a MacBook Pro that's a 16-inch Pro level one could actually do what I wanted. So I think I'm pretty much happy with what I went with the Mac Mini that just sits here. It's the hub, it's the core of my home studio, and then I still have the ThinkPad for when I'm on the go and I need an actual laptop computer. Still works well. And then I have, of course, my iPads and iPhones. But it's a good question, and it's it's such a juggling act for me, and I can only imagine what a juggling act it is for you folks looking to work out what you need to buy to get yourself creating and get the job done. Question from Desolate Morning. Did you have any problems with your iRig Pro I/O into your iPhone or iPad? No. I haven't at all. So, no, the iRig Pro I/O is a really good... And Gary Hubbs, you've got the iRig Pro Duo, I believe. So maybe you can chime in here if you're still here in the chat and let us know what you think of that one. So the iRig Pro I/O is this one here. It is a audio interface for iOS, Android, Mac, and PC. It's $150, and it's just a really cool, reliable little unit in my experience. So it comes with a lightning cable, a USB cable, and MIDI cable, so you can plug everything in that you need. Why is it going all blue? Stop being blue. It's got 48 volts phantom power, MIDI in and out. It's got a headphone there with a volume control, so you can plug your headphones in for monitoring, and it's got its own little DIN connector that goes in there. You can even plug it into power if you want to power it up. And it's got a Nutric combo jack there, so you've got XLR as well as a combo jack for your guitar. So I actually love it, and I've found it works really well. I kind of want the Duo. The Duo would have been cool for the weekend because I did have to schlep my Steinberg UR22C. If I had this Duo, this would have been a little bit easier because it means that I would have been able to have the 2-channel line input here going straight into my straight into my PC or to my iPad or iPhone, and I'd just have a nice little portable interface. The UR22C is not exactly not portable, but it's not really designed to be lugged around. So the Duo would probably be a good option there as well. But yeah, no, I haven't had any problems to date, and I would definitely recommend it. I've actually, IK Multimedia sent me the iRig Pre 2, which is like the preamp that actually plugs directly in via the headphone jack. It's actually really good. I've been doing some testing on it, and I will do a video now that I've done my April series. I'll be doing a video on it in probably the next week. In fact, I'll say yes, I'll do it within the next week. That way I can commit to something. So I'll do a video on that one, but that's actually pretty cool as well. That's super convenient and flexible because that you can use with any device that has a headphone jack or a Lightning or USB with the relevant adapter to adapt it over to a headphone jack. So that is the iRig Pre 2. That is this one here, and it's super affordable too. So if especially if you're just getting started, check this one out. Yeah, new, the iRig Pre 2. I tested it out on the Patreon stream recently. Did I? I can't remember. Anyway, I remember the quality being super good. Yeah, I think I did test it out on Patreon. And yeah, really good quality, but it does just use that TRRS 3.5mm jack, but still has your gain control, has your 48 volts of phantom, has all the things you would need, but not for guitar, just for your microphone. Again, a long answer to a short question. There you go. Where do I get the Red Dead Redemption? So that the Rockstar t-shirt I got was actually free with the game. So I don't know if you can buy that anywhere. Sorry. Yeah. Apologize. Yes, he did the joke. I know. I did the joke. PF says, do you use any audio kit synths on your iPad controlled from your Mac? I don't. I've not got on board the audio kit train. Doug at the Sound Test Room, Jade Star, others, I think Vortex over at Mobile Music Pro, they all use audio kit quite a lot. I haven't played around with it yet. So because I don't use synthesizer. I think I don't use synths because I can't say the word synths very well because I have a lisp. But I don't use synths a whole lot. The first time I've really done is in this track here, and I wanted to play with the built-in synth sounds that we had here in Cubases because they're actually pretty darn cool. But it all went so yeah, so I haven't done a whole lot with synths, but there you go. My sound was distinctly different yesterday compared to the sound check the day before. What did you change? I turned the volume down a bit, Bubba. Is that what it was? I don't know if it was different bad or different good. So maybe tell me if it was different bad or different good, and then I'll work it out. But literally all I changed was the volume. So I turned both the guitar and the mic down a bit, and I turned the input gain on the UR22C up a bit. So maybe that affected the noise floor. It is a challenge trying to get the balance there because obviously you're sending a line out signal from the amp, which is balancing out the guitar and the mic. And then you've also got to make sure you gain stage it correctly going into the UR22C. So let me know. Yes, the joke, trademark joke. You want a new joke? All right. We'll get there with a new joke. Alrighty, let's see. Yeah, WWDC. That will be the key thing. So Apple are going to probably announce a whole bunch of stuff at WWDC, and that's what I'm waiting for. I'm not making any purchase decisions of Apple products yet. Patrick at the GarageBand Guide has gone out. I'm pretty sure he's done this, and I'm pretty sure it's not a joke. You never quite know with Patrick, but I saw a post from him where he said it was an order where he has to wait till the 27th of May to get the new iPad Pro M1. So, yeah, can I find that on social? It's always hard to find, like, I think it was an Instagram post, or it might have been on Facebook. Let's see if we can find it. Let's stalk Patrick and find out the GarageBand Guide, because I'm pretty sure he's actually ordered one, and we'll try and find his order. No. It's going to take me too long to actually find it, I think. But yeah, he definitely has. But yeah, wait around, I think, to do that. Desolate Morning's got the Duo as well. There you go. Brad uses the Pro Duo and loves it. There you go. Haven't plugged it in yet. Well, there you go. And we've got Gary Hubbs who loves it too. So apparently, there you go. You've got you got three people. You've got myself, Brad Example, and Gary Hubbs, who all use the iRig Pro IO. The other gents use the Duo, and they all love it. So there you go. No one has any problems with the Duo into iPhone or iPad. Yeah, there you go. No, Gary says it can be a treat to use. There you go. So hopefully it'll work out well for you. RX2 uses the iRig Keys IO, and it works great so far. The Keys IO is a really interesting little bit of kit. I've not used that one. I won't be cheeky. I better do the review on the Pre too before I ask IK Multimedia for anything else. But I do love the idea of this. I love it, but I'm also scared by it. So this is the Keys IO. You can get the 25 key one for $200, or you can get the 49 key one for $300. So let's just go the little tacker, because this is a pretty good unit. If you had nothing, so if you were starting out in recording and you wanted the ability to record in some keys, have some pads there for your drums, and have an audio interface all in one device, this is pretty good, yeah? Because it's not only just your MIDI keyboard, so you plug it in, use it as a MIDI keyboard, but you've also got a built-in audio interface. So you've got a guitar / microphone combo jack there, 48 volts of phantom power, and your gain control there. You've got balanced output, left and right balanced output there, and and a headphone jack there for direct monitoring. So yeah, I kind of, more on order, so they're not even available at the moment. But I kind of like the idea of that. It doesn't get great reviews, and I don't really know why. I've not used one. But yeah, RX2, you'll have to let us know why you like it and what it does well. Let's check the 49 key version. Yeah, same sort of thing. Doesn't get great reviews, and I'm not sure why. But it looks like it's got some cool stuff. Got pitch bend, modulation wheels on there as well. It's got all sorts of cool stuff going on. So yeah, there you go. And the good thing about all the IK Multimedia gear is that you don't need a Lightning to USB 3, because it comes with a Lightning cable as well as all the other cables. So that's all pretty cool. Alrighty, we better get a move on because there you go. Yep, I use the 25 key. So RX using the 25 key unit, and it's great. Cool. Let's get a move on, because we're halfway through the show. This is why I've made this show 2 hours, because I get off on tangents, but hopefully they're valuable tangents, or at least interesting or entertaining tangents. So if you're enjoying the tangents, feel free to hit the like button. If you've got another creator in your life that you think would like this show, that should join the community here to have some fun, then do share the video as well, because sharing is caring, and Sharon is Karen. See, because we don't say Sharon and Sharon, we say sharing and Sharon. So in Australia, you can't really make the joke about Sharon and Sharon, because Sharon and Karen is not how you say it. We're getting off on really weird tangents. Let's jump into our midpoint motivation. See, I don't have any theme music for that. Midpoint motivation. Need to get some little theme bits for the different bits. So this week we're looking at, I put a question out, and I've started doing this each week, putting a little motivational question on the community tab. Now, if you're not sure how to get to the community tab, all you need to do is go to the Studio Live Today channel, either on your mobile device or on your desktop, and you'll see a little community tab up the top here. You've got your home, your videos, your playlist. Go to the community. Join us at the community. And I asked the question, start before you're ready. Good advice, yes or no? So I'll tell you the answer to that in just a moment. And if anyone that's here live that didn't answer that one wants to provide their feedback, then go ahead and do it. But starting before you're ready, should you do it? Now, I got this sort of advice, and I've given this sort of advice in the past, because there's things like, when should you get married? When are you going to be ready? When are you going to be financially ready to get married? When are you financially ready or mentally ready to buy a house? When are you ready to have children? When are you ready to quit your job and start a new job? When are you this concept of being ready or being prepared is a tough one. Because those of us that are overthinkers, hand up the overthinkers in the crowd, right here. Those of us that are overthinkers, I would argue we will never be ready. We'll never be fully prepared, because the level of preparedness, the level of readiness that we think we need to be at is like 120% of actual reality. And there's an argument that says, if you start, you can't wait till you're ready, otherwise you'll never start. You've just got to start now, and then you will eventually find your way. You'll find your feet. You'll be ready, but you won't be ready right at the start. I think with music, with art, with creating videos, with running a YouTube channel, with doing anything as a creator, I don't think we're ever truly ready. And the reason I say that is that I don't think you can be ready, or I don't think you can be prepared or fully ready to go until you've started sharing. So the whole reason that I have the concept of create, record, release is that I think that to be good at the creating and the recording, you have to do the releasing. And the release doesn't mean, people misconstrue release meaning that you have to put it out there, you have to get it out on DistroKid, you have to put it on Spotify. That's one option. But by release, I mean let go and share. So letting go of something and then sharing it with a community, with your friends, with your family, with someone that can give you preferably feedback, but at least a little bit of support and encouragement so that you can go back and do it again. The reason I say that is if you're just create, you're not ever sort of putting yourself out there, you don't know if you're actually doing well. You don't know if there's things you could be working on that would make it better, that would therefore make you happier because you're getting better results. And I heard a good analogy. It's like a golfer. It's like if you've got a crappy golf swing, it doesn't matter how much you practice on your own. You can go to the driving range and hit like 1,000 balls, like multiple buckets of balls at the driving range. If you've got a crappy swing, what are you doing? You're practicing exactly how to swing your crappy golf swing. But if you go and you get lessons, or if you record yourself swinging and then go to a golf forum and put your video up there and say, what am I doing wrong? You'll hear, oh, your left elbow's too high. Oh, your grip, you need to twist your right wrist a bit. I don't know. I don't play that much golf, so I don't know the right answers. But you'll get some feedback, and then you can enhance and practice and try new things. It's exactly the same with your music. If you wait until you think you are at the level where you can be professional and share, you're going to be waiting a long time, and you're probably practicing stuff that is not the optimal way, or at least you're not trying things and getting advice from other people that would help you along the way. So that's what I have to say. What do you have to say? That's a question. So let's see what folks have got to say here. PF says, if you don't start, then you never make progress. Yes, spot on. Gary Hubbs, learn on the fly. Tick, 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 and tick. Bubba's putting his hand up for all the things we're talking about. And it is indeed a journey, and you can't improve if you don't start the journey. Spot on, Joe. You do need to start. Will you ever be truly ready? If not, just get started. Spot on. Just do it. Yep, that's it. Mark says, one thing I've learned while sailing is that apply to everything. If you wait to be ready, you'll never leave the dock. Be as ready as possible and learn and consolidate as you go. Yeah, I like that concept of be as ready as possible. You don't have to just go in. And this is the thing. It's not black or white again. Like everything is not black or white. It's not go in with absolutely no knowledge and just get burnt, or spend forever perfecting things before you share a thing. No, you can spend some time. Like I didn't release the first project that I ever created. I didn't go out and sort of seek feedback. I spent probably 6 or 12 months playing around with GarageBand before I started documenting my journey, before I started sharing stuff with other people. So it doesn't have to be one way or the other. DJ Normal Norman says, I make dance music and I've got way better lately just watching vids like this. Cool. Well, that's good. I appreciate it. Desolate Morning says, I'm not ready, but I have stuff out there. There you go. Go for it. Push yourself out there. Gary Hubbs does have a crappy golf swing. There you go. As do I. My slice, you wouldn't believe my slice. I play on a par 3 course here in Adelaide, and I can get like 2 holes that way with just a... Anyway. Golfers in the house. There you go. Brown go around, blue sail through mug. There you go. What a good idea. What a good concept. Sion says creating is such an iterative process. I've been stuck in loops of should I? I know you can should yourself to death, can't you? And I don't think you can really be ready. Brad says, where are the studio live today? Practice makes progress shirts coming. I would get one today. Hurry up and make them. Good point. Good point, Brad. I'll segue from that into something I wanted to show folks anyway, because I'm going to take you behind the scenes of my merch store, because they've just updated things over at Teespring, and I thought you might like to take a little bit of a look. Barry says, good advice. Yeah, if you wait till you're ready, you'll never start. Spot on. Yes, analysis paralysis. I went through this in my day job where I'd want to do something and they'd be like, oh yeah, could you just do a PowerPoint pack? Do a pack about that, Pete. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And then I'd analyze it. And I'd go, oh, but how does that trending over the last 90 days? Okay, I'll go back and do that. What are some 3 other options that we could take? I'm like, oh, By the time we actually come to this decision, the window of opportunity to do anything about the problem we're trying to solve has already gone. So yes, analysis paralysis is a thing. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Very good. You drop your slice. Tell me how, Gary. I want you to be my golf coach. Who would watch a video of Gary Hubbs coaching me on swinging a golf club? I think that would be an awesome video. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Still got to take the plunge and see how it goes. Yeah. Just shared a blues. It ain't perfect. More of a demo. I'll perfect it later, but I'm happy with where I'm at. Spot on. Exactly. And yeah, I do need the supersized coffee cup. Gary Hubbs wants a merch store. Well, I'm going to show you how to make one in like literally seconds in a moment, Gary. If you don't know about it, you'll be amazed. I played something I'm working on for my wife just on the piano. She said she liked it. Then I played the recorded part on GB with more instruments and she didn't like it as much. Good for other ears. Yeah. I've done that before. I've shared songs with people. My song, Things Have Changed. I tried to build it out. So if you're not familiar with this, I'm going to be a little bit self-serving here. But I didn't like this song. I didn't want to share this song when I first wrote it. I thought it was like too saccharine sweet. I thought that it was too derivative. I thought that it just wasn't anything that I wanted to actually share. Because I originally wrote, and here's the thing, I originally wrote it, this is the original version, I'll just play you a bit of it in a moment, and then I produced the version that actually went on my Maybe EP, and I tried to add so much stuff to it. Like I did this original version, I'll play you a little bit of this. It sounded like this. So it's just a piano vocal. Man, this was like the start of COVID. I've got about 10 kilograms less there. Check it out. Not being self-deprecating, it's just reality. So it's just piano, using the beautiful Ravenscroft piano. Things aren't the same. And I produced this song, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And my gut reaction was, do not release that. Do not put it out there. Turns out, more than pretty much any other song I've released, that kind of touched and impacted a lot of people. So I was wrong. My own brain was trying to tell me that I shouldn't do something. By just throwing it out there, it worked. And then again, when I tried to keep expanding on it, I got this version. And you can hear that it's not much different. It's got some mastering, it's got some EQing, but it's not actually much different from the original. So, and that was a song that may never have made the light of day if I trusted my brain and just went, no, this is bad. No one's going to want to hear this. It's like, yep, good. I know we need an oversized mug. Let's have a look. Let's see. Let's see if we can actually find a mug. My morning cup is 8-cup French press. I need a decent mug. There you go. DJ Normal Norman. Cool name. You folks always have cool names. I got stuck on a tune. I wiped the bass line and redid it, and it just flew through the rest. Yeah, sometimes you just need to make some drastic changes and just decide on something and then go with it, and you'll be amazed at how things work out. So there you go. That's our midpoint motivation for today. So we've got a few more things I want to get through here today. Now, because we segued there with Brad talking about our practice, what is it? Practice makes progress t-shirt. I wanted to show you something. Let's jump over here and go to my Teespring account. So if you go to teespring.com, you can actually create your own merch store. So here's the thing. If you've ever been thinking about creating merchandise, no longer do you need to have a warehouse full of stuff. No longer do you need to order in, 10 XLs and 10 Ls and 10 mediums and worry that you have to on-sell them. Everything is print on demand these days. And Teespring, who I use, are one of the easiest ways. As you see, their commerce, not complicated. And it's legitimately true. So let's jump in and see how this all works. So I have an account here. So there's my email address. If you want to email me on that one, you can, but it's my regular email address. But there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do here. If we hit the Start Designing button, you can literally sign up for an account in about 30 seconds, and it will dump you right in here, and you can start making things. So we talked about creating a product. If we wanted to do a very simple t-shirt, so here you go, we'll go a men's staple tee. This is the trending product. It's a t-shirt, right? So all you need to do is come in here. You can add an image or you can add text. So if we wanted to add an image here, in fact, we'll jump over. Yeah, okay. We want to keep editing. I'm not going to quit. I just need to go to Canva. Settle down here, Teespring. So Brad says he wants a practice makes progress t-shirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and create a design. And we're going to do it at a custom size. Let's make it 3000 by 3000 because you want a nice, good quality, large design to do this. And I'm just going to make this really, really simple. I'm going to go to title. This may not be the final version. We'll add a heading there. I'm going to make this my Nor'Wester, which is my Studio Live Today heading. And we're going to go practice makes progress. And we'll expand this out to embiggen it, as I like to say. And we're just going to make a very basic little text display here that's going to go onto a t-shirt. So we'll go with that for now. We'll go to the effects. This one here, line spacing, bring it a little bit closer together. And do we want any color in here, or do we just want to make it like white on black? We want to make it like white on black. So what I then want to do is make all this text white. So we'll just come in here, we'll go white text there. Now, because goes away there, because I've got the premium version of Canva, I can actually download this as a transparent PNG. Now, Canva is cool, by the way. If you check the description there, you can actually sign up to Canva for free. The free version is very cool. It just doesn't let you do transparent backgrounds, but there are online sites that let you do it. So if you could do exactly this in Canva, create your own logos, your own text, your own pictures, whatever you want to use, you can do this all for free in Canva. You just need to export as a PNG and then convert it to a transparent PNG using a separate app or website. Super simple to do, but with the pro version of Canva that I have, I can do it here and download it. So there you go. It's the practice makes progress. It's saved that design as a PNG there. All I need to do to make this t-shirt go from an idea to a reality is come back to Teespring. Where did I leave you? Over here. Come back to Teespring. Let's add an image. Let's add that image that we just created, shall we? And boom, there is our practice makes progress t-shirt. It is created. We can then choose some custom colors. So what other colors do we want? We want it in gray. Nah, pink's not going to work there. And there we go. We can go done. And there you go. You can have it in these two colors. And we can now decide how much we want to sell it for, yeah? So over here on the left, we can say, oh, at this $26.99, we're making $10 profit per sale. I don't want to charge that much. I want to make it $19.99. I'm only going to make $3 profit per sale, but that's cool. I can then put my euro conversion in here. What if it was, say, 19.99 euro? I'm making $3.50 euro per sale. So I don't have to print these. I don't have to own these. I never have to do anything with these. They just exist. I can just add them to my store. Once they're created, it gives me a link. I send that link to people and they order it. And it really is as simple as that. So if we continue with this one, let's just make this a real thing, shall we? There you go. So we've got the different styles there. So we've got the unisex and men's t-shirts. We can select different styles if we want here. So you can make it other comfort tees or premium tees, all sorts of other things. But we just want it to be this one, the men's staple tee. We'll hit continue on that one. There it is. And we can call it here. It is like practice. Title is going to be practice. Indeed does make progress. And then, I clicked a button and it took me away. Let's see. Can I go back to where I was? I've probably messed it up. It's hard because I'm on a screen over here. And are we going to go back to that we were at? Oh, I don't have lost my stuff. Again, it won't take long to bring it back, but I hope it hasn't lost my design. Come on. Yeah, be careful. Oh, wait for you. Come on, Teespring. It knows that it's live here, so it's decided to crash. Let's go back, shall we? Let's go back to the home page and take a look here. I've broken the whole thing. So if I go back into my account, we'll go back to the home screen here and we'll see if we can find where we were designing those products. Yes. Where are we? So listings. I don't think we actually got to the point of listing it, did we? No. So we'll have to go back to the Start Designing tab, but it won't take us long because if you missed it the first time around, here's how we do it. We add an image. We pop it on here. We do that. We make sure it's centered. We add any additional colors we may want. Let's have that one. Cool. We make sure that the prices are what we want to charge for it. We want these to be affordable, so let's make them $20, like so, or €20, and we'll hit continue. We don't want anything else there. We're going to hit continue. Let's just call it practice makes progress because it does. There you go. And now there's a bunch of other options you can have there, but here's the URL. So I don't want it to be that one. I just want it to be practice makes progress like that. So you can change the URL to actually make it whatever you want. No, you can't because it's already there. Practice makes prog. There you go. Then it sounds like it's prog rock. So practice makes prog, public, add it to my existing store because I've already got a Studio Live Today store, publish the listing. There you go, generating product images for my listing, saving them, preparing my listing, and I've created a t-shirt that is now available for sale on my public Studio Live Today store in, 5 minutes? And that was with me breaking it halfway through. So it'll load up here in just a moment. And there it is. So there's where people can buy this. Now, I'll make sure that the color of black there is actually going to look better, isn't it? Practice makes progress. And I may work on this. If anyone wants to buy it now just looking like that, feel free. But I haven't really spent a lot of time on that. That's literally just practice makes progress. So yeah, you can come in here. You can choose your size, how many you want to buy. And there you go. Got the description and everything there. You can go in and buy the regular Studio Live Today tees and hoodies and everything else. It's all there, ready to go. And it's $25.91 because that's Australian dollars, whereas originally it's going to be in US dollars. So that's how simple it can be. There's a whole bunch of different options that you have in there. So we can edit the listing. You can order your own samples. So if I wanted to buy some of these at cost price to send to myself, I can do that. So you can grab these and say, all right, I want 2 large ones to come to me. It's only going to charge me the cost price. So it's not going to charge me the $26 Australian, just the $21. And I can get it shipped from either the US or from Europe. So that is pretty darn cool. And you've got a bunch of other options, as you would have seen here. You can go in and check out your analytics. You can check out your listings. You can add things like promos. So if I come in here to my tools and services, promotions, you can actually create promotions to sell your stuff here. So you can come in here, and the last one I had was Buff Cook. There are 2 on there at the moment. You've seen it now, but SLW email gets you 10% off. And for Patreons, SLT Patreon will get you 15% off. If you want to use the Patreon one without being a Patreon, you can, but just join us on Patreon. That'd be cool. So there you go. What do you think? Teespring for the win. It's actually now just called spring.com, but if you still go to teespring.com, you can set yourself up there. And not only t-shirts, but hoodies. You've got mugs. You've got everything right there. So there you go. Let's see. You should be in the higher range. Yeah, maybe. I want to sell shirts, beer cozies, and clipboards. Clipboards would be cool. What about kerning? Kerning of your letters, kerning of your thing. The quality's pretty good. I'm not wearing it. But the Studio Live Today t-shirt, I created exactly like that. Put the Studio Live Today logo on the sleeve. Yeah, I could put it on the back. Could have practice makes progress and then Studio Live Today on the back, or vice versa. Studio Live Today, practice makes progress on your back. We'll play around with that. Yeah, I don't know if it lets you do sleeves, but it definitely lets you do the back. Barry wants a pink t-shirt. Yeah, I should create some different color t-shirts. There you go. Yeah, Cafe Press was kind of the original store like this, Tom, that did the same sort of thing. And it is, the shirts are pretty good. Like they're not, I don't use the premium shirts just to keep the cost down, but I do have, but I use the standard shirts and they come across good. I've got the hoodies, the mugs are really good as well. So yeah, everything there. And if you want to check out the full store, studiolivettoday.com/merch is where you can go. Let's just close down a bit of that stuff and we'll move on. Right. Yeah, I don't want to offend typography geeks, absolutely. Yeah, no, don't push things too close together. Otherwise you get what we call the Clint Eastwood effect. If you don't know about that, I'm not going to explain it, but just think about words that if you've got Clint and you put the letters too close together, what could happen. Yeah. There was some people that got in trouble in some newspapers back in the day for Clint Eastwood. Righty, let's move on to our next stuff, which is our hidden gems. Have a little drink there. So, hidden gems. We've got a few this week that I wanted to show you, and I'm just going to close a bunch of tabs here because I've got 15,000 different tabs here that I've opened up during the show. So I get I get overwhelmed by too many tabs. So I wanted to show you a few channels. Now, recently I was on a show with Mike from Creative Source. In fact, I'll come in here. I'll grab this, copy the link. We'll put that over here. It was this show here. This video.
This issue.
Oh, you can hear him talking there. So that's that's me looking very intrigued at what Mike's having to say. So this was the big questions, common music production questions answered. And this was on Mike's channel, Creative Source. And Mike is absolutely crushing it at the moment. We've talked about his channel before, Creative Source. You do need to jump over there if you're not already a subscriber, because that's going to be hidden gem number one. We've already said it. But do jump over and check out Mike at Creative Source. But that particular video, there were two other folks that he had on there. And I wanted to give those blokes a shout out right now because they do good work. The first one is Mr. Ed Thorne. Now, Ed is not only a very cool creator and shares a lot of really good information about home recording, he's actually a really good musician too. And super not underappreciated. I appreciate him, but yeah, he needs to have more support, more following for what he does, because he does a really good job. He's the pro level stuff. Like you know how I talked about before that all my videos are like done in 24 hours, and it's just like record them, create them, get them out there. Yeah, Ed puts in a lot more effort into his stuff. So if you want to learn about gear, you want to learn about recording, you want to learn about all of the stuff, he has some pretty high-end stuff. So the SSL2 interface, he's got his top 10 interfaces. He's reviewed the Scarlett Studio Pack, if that's something you're looking at. The Apollo Solo, pro versus budget. Why would you want to spend more money on an interface? So all of those questions answered, and he's British, but you don't need to hold that against him. He's still a cool dude. So Ed Thorne, that's where you need to go to check out his channel. And again, if you wanted to get a taste for what Ed's all about, jump into that video that I showed you before over on Mike's channel, where we look at the big questions answered about your home studio stuff. The other channel that we had over there is White Noise Studios, and that's our man Marlon. And Marlon at White Noise Studio is this guy right here. There you go. Your audio resource for reviews, recording, mixing, and mastering White Noise Studio. So very cool. Similar sorts of things covered here, but obviously with a little bit of a different twist. We've got getting audio from your video, which is something I get asked all the time, how to extract audio from video files with Audacity, getting a great vocal sound, TikTok videos. So he covers a lot of different cool stuff, and he's a funny dude too. So very, very well worth jumping in and taking a look at. A lot of stuff for beginners and intermediate users, but covers some other more advanced topics and plugins and the like as well. So yeah, do support the channels that support Studio Live today, and check out Mike, Ed, and Marlon. And yeah, once again, jump over and check out that video. There is Mike. Tom's doing a good job as always with the reviews down there. There is Mike at Creative Source. There is Ed Thorne, and there is White Noise Studio, and our man Marlon there. There you go. Carrot Eastwood. Exactly. Not quite, but yes, maybe it is Carrot Eastwood. Now, did I have any other hidden gems here today that I wanted to share? I reckon that was it. So, the other hidden gems were Teespring that we talked about there, and the other one was Canva.com. Now, I showed this really quickly before, but Canva.com, and we'll look at this in a moment because I'm actually going to use this live here to release a video. So, if you come in here, you can see these are all. What is that one? Why is that the thumbnail of that video? It's not, it's that. But I've got no idea why it actually did that. And I'm getting a phone call, which I'm going to say no to because, yeah, that looks like it's spam. Oh, I should totally answer that. I should have answered the call live here on the show because I think it's actually these calls like those, oh, someone is hacking your Wi-Fi. This is your telephone company. Someone's hacking your Wi-Fi. Had one of those last week. Always fun. Always good fun. Except last week, the one I got last week, I peaked too soon. They called and they said, "Oh, hello, Peter. This is Marianne from Telstra, your internet service provider." And I'm like, "I'm calling from our tech support department." And I just said, "No, you're not." And she hung up. And I'm like, "Damn it! Should have strung it along." There you go. With a pocket dial from Carrie. Yeah, so we were talking about Canva, and Canva is what I use for all of this business. So I use Canva for everything, for album art, for thumbnails for my videos, for t-shirt designs, as you saw before. There's a free version. Look, I created this whole, when we did the Spring Loaders event, I created the whole presentation I used for my live stream right here in Canva. So I just took, as I was watching the video, I took screen grabs and I just went through and created the whole presentation that I could then present directly from within Canva. So I didn't even have to go and use anything else. Look at that. You can come in here, you can present it directly here within Canva. You don't have to load up PowerPoint, you don't have to do anything else. It's all just right there. So you can create awesome stuff. Now, there's a link down in the description if you want to check out the free version. If you upgrade to the pro version, it's an affiliate link. Once again, they break off a small chunk and they send it my way. So if you do want to check it out, have a look, because it's a great way. If you're like me, if you are challenged in the world of design, this holds your hand and helps you. And I'm going to show you in a minute with the video we're going to release exactly how I do it. Yeah, Bubba, I should have done a Kip Boga spam call. Exactly. I should have done that live. Surprisingly, they haven't left a message, meaning it was 100% a legitimate call. You can be sure of that. Because, yes, when they don't leave a message and they call from a number that's unknown, it's always good, right? Yeah. And there is indeed also a Canva app. So over the weekend when I was out and about doing all my different shows, I grabbed the Canva app. There it is. There's this exact thumbnail for this exact video, because just before this show, I downloaded this directly here onto my phone and then used this to share that photo to Instagram, to Facebook, to Twitter, to all the places. So yeah, you have everything with you. And people say, Pete, why don't you just buy Photoshop and learn that? Or why don't you use one of the free image editors? Because why would you trust something that's online and you always have to have an internet connection for? Well, A, I rarely don't have an internet connection. So there's that. I don't really need to worry about that side of it. And B, it means it's everywhere. So the cool thing here is that because I rarely use this Windows laptop, because I took this away with me on my recent little holiday, everything was here. I didn't have to worry about what was and wasn't transferred. If I had the original Photoshop files, if I had the original source files, everything is uploaded. And you're going to see what I mean in a moment when we go through and take a look at this. It's very, very cool. Alrighty. Ronnie, cool hello to you. Says, I suck at mixing and mastering. Got any good advice to a newbie? Been a writer musician for many years. I just can't mix or master very well. I mean, the self-serving version of that advice would be to check out my mixing tips video. So I do have a few mixing videos, and probably the best place to start is if you search my name, Pete Johns Mixing. You get my basics of mixing, then mixing a whole song, mixing versus mastering, and my 10 tips for mixing in GarageBand, mixing a rocks demo. You get the point. So I've got probably 10 or 12 different videos all about mixing and mastering right here on the channel. So rather than go through and give you copious detail now, Roddy, I'd go and check those out. I've also got a GarageBand course, which you can get at studiolivetoday.com/courses, or you can become a member of the Create, Record, Release Facebook group that we talked about earlier. There's a bunch of great creators over there that can really help you out. Yes, exactly. Those programs are a career in themselves, not to mention the subscription. And that's the thing. Photoshop is a subscription now. So people are like, oh, I don't like Canva. It's a subscription service. So is Photoshop. So is everything, it seems. Seems that everything is indeed a subscription these days. Now, I just need to sign back into my TubeBuddy account here. It signed me out for some reason. I was playing around with it earlier today, and then it signed me out. So I'm back in. I'm back at it. All right. So what I'm going to do now is something I teased it a little bit earlier. I'm going to jump in here. Well, we're not talking hidden gems anymore. And I'm going to show you behind the scenes of me releasing a video. So here's the premise. I grabbed a clip from a GarageBand users video, a GarageBand weekly video that I did last week. And it was a clip about EQing and using your ears to EQ instead of your eyes. And what I need to do now is actually work out how to title this, what description I should put in there, do my tags, get my thumbnail done. And we've got 28 minutes left to do it. So let's see how we go. Let's see if we can do all of this here together. So the first thing I need to do is jump over to my YouTube creator dashboard here. So I'm going to go to the studio.youtube.com. And if you do the same with your YouTube channel, it's going to look something like this. So here is all of my uploads that I've got here on the channel. There's the one I did on the weekend here, which is a short video I did on GarageBand's hidden settings, which was pretty cool. I recorded it while I was out for a morning walk. And that's the cool thing about shorts. I didn't worry too much about the audio quality. I made sure it was good enough. And then I just recorded it while I was literally walking around. And yeah, a lot of people have said that they didn't know a lot of those things and it's helped them out. So that's cool. But here is the new video here. Now, I'm not showing the upload process. I've showed this on previous videos. The way that I do my videos, and I'll bring you in here to give you a very quick look. I've already deleted it. There you go. But I use LumaFusion on my phone. So all I did was last night, I grabbed LumaFusion, I used this template, and I downloaded from StreamYard directly to my phone the full recording. So the beauty of StreamYard, the service I'm using here, we're not talking about it today, but the reason it's cool is that it actually records your whole videos as well. So when I do a live show, like the one I'm doing right now, getting very meta, what I can do is go into the back end and download the entire video file, video and audio, of that. I then import it into here. I grab the clip I want. I edit it together using LumaFusion on my phone. I export it to my camera roll. So if we come up here and we go to photos, there it is. So that one there on my camera. There's the video. And then I upload it to YouTube and then I'm done. So then it's all done. So I then go to my YouTube app here, I upload it into YouTube, and then it goes here into my desktop, into my YouTube Creator Studio, which is where we're at now. So this is where it's at. This is the video. So let's go into edit this one. We will click the details button here, and we'll go through all the different things that I do here. Now, you may have noticed that there is this little thing up the top here that is our TubeBuddy dashboard. Now, if you haven't used TubeBuddy before, it is my go-to for when I'm releasing videos. What TubeBuddy does is it gives you things like the Keyword Explorer. It gives you a checklist for releasing your videos. It will help you with things like your descriptions, your tags, your titles. It basically holds your hand and makes sure that every time you release a video, you're doing things by the best practices that YouTube would actually recommend. So I'm going to use this here. It's up there, but you'll notice that it's also down here. We've got these best practices. So what it says is that the best practices are to add chapters, to get a like on Facebook. We can't do that yet. To add an end screen, to add info cards, add to a playlist, add some tags, and add tags to your title. So these are all of the things that they think that we should do here. And we are going to do, in fact, all of those right now. So let me give you a quick look at the video first so that we can make sure together that it's going to actually work. So there's our man Sion. It was a question that he asked or a tip that he gave here, and I've actually expanded on that tip here in the video. So I will play the video through, and what I'm actually going to do, the first thing I'm going to do here is my timestamps. So this is what I'll usually do is I'll come here because you would have seen here, add chapters is one of the things that it wants. Now this is only a 2:30 video. So maybe we do, maybe we don't need timestamps, but I'm going to add them anyway. So we'll come in here and we'll go timestamps and we will start doing these. So 00:00 is obviously the start of our video. So let's hit play on this and work out what timestamps we're going to put in here. It's actually the wrong verb to use. It shouldn't be to look, it should be to hear. If we go to our Visual EQ and we turn this on, you might be aware that we have this analyzer. So we can actually visualize it. And that will show us all of the different frequencies. So what Sion's saying is what you can do is use that, but then also grab LRC7. So if you want to visually identify some frequencies that you may not want, then you can do that. You can come in here, you can play this, and let's just say that. So at this stage, all I've put in here is my intro there, and then the Visual EQ Analyzer, which is this first section here that I'm showing. So you really didn't want this low down bit going on here. Well, you could roll it off there. So now this next section at 40 seconds is going to be adjusting the EQ. So we'll come in here and we'll put adjusting EQ and continue on. Now again, it's not that important for such a short video. Or you could identify and you could say that this stuff down here at between 100 and 200 hertz is, say, interfering with my bass. It's not, but let's just say it is. And then you could come in here to LRC7 and you could come in here and you could add a filter. In fact, you could make it even easier. You could just come in here and you could do the cut lows and highs, and then you could just bring this one and say, right, everything below like 200 hertz, we're going to roll off like that. So this is still within that adjusting EQ section that we want here. and then get, and you get like a thinner sound because you're not getting that bass sound, and then come back here to your visualizer and say, yay, look, I've removed all those pesky frequencies down below. But here's the thing. Mix with your ears, not your eyes, when at all possible. So the challenge, the problem you have with using, if you use the analyzer too much, you're going to start looking. All right, so this is sort of the next section here, which is, I'm just going to put mix with your ears. So the whole purpose of this video is to talk about the fact that there's a visualizer, so the EQ visualizer is there in GarageBand iOS, but you want to use your ears still and mix with your ears, not your eyes, whenever possible. So we need the title to reflect that, but also be something appealing that people will want to actually watch. So we'll work on that in a moment, but we'll just work through these at the moment. Now, what I've got a shortcut here, and I recommend this if you're doing a lot of videos, even if your videos are not tutorials, but you're releasing your own songs, because all of this applies to your own songs. Maybe not the chapters, but all the other stuff we talk about is going to apply to your own songs. So I have a OneNote document here that is my template, and I've been using the same one since November 2019. You can see here because it's working and it works well. So this is the template that I use. So you can see here it's got how to connect with me at the bottom there, all the resources, so like DistroKid, StreamYard, Canva that we talk about, my merchandise, the gear guide, all of that stuff, and it's also got timestamps there. So we're going to copy all of this and we're going to paste it over here into YouTube. Now we can just grab these timestamps that we've created, cut them there, and then put them here. Now, one of the most important things is this first line of your video. Now, on a recent Patreon live stream, again, a shout out to my patrons, you guys rock. On a recent Patreon live stream, I think I picked on you, Gary Hubbs. I think I picked on Tom Rochelle as well. I picked on a bunch of folks, and I looked at the first line of their videos. And when you're releasing a video to YouTube, whether it's your own song, whether it's a tutorial, whether it's a behind the scenes, the first line is what shows up on the search results or shows up when someone's about to click your video. So all the words you put in those first one or two sentences are super important. So this is what I want to do. I'm going to say how to use the visualizer in GarageBand iOS and why you should mix with your ears and not your eyes. I don't really want to say it like that. And why it is what I say, and why it's important to mix with, why it is important to use your ears as well as your eyes when using EQ and mixing in GarageBand iPad and GarageBand iPhone. So that statement there, and I know it's very small there on your screen. Can we embiggen that a bit? Boop. Boop, there we go. That statement there is doing a couple of things. It should be something to humans, so don't just put a bunch of tags in there. Don't go visualizer, EQ, GarageBand, iPhone, iPad, mixing. But it should have those keywords in there. So how to use the visualizer in GarageBand iOS and why it's important to use your ears as well as your eyes when using EQ and mixing in GarageBand iPad and GarageBand iPhone. Now this line here, this sentence is more important than any other tags. It's probably your title and your thumbnail, the only thing's more important than that. And it should all align here. So now that I've written that, I'll come back to my title and I'll say how to use the visualizer, because that's the main thing. How to use the visualizer in GarageBand iOS, which is the basic point of this one. But it's sort of expanding out onto that. So that's what I'm going to do. I normally have one thing in caps there. All caps is tacky. No caps looks a bit weird. So I use one caps there. So I've used this all based on my experience here, but I'll show you in a moment with TubeBuddy how we can actually kind of enhance this or check that we're doing something correctly. So that's all done there. We've got all of our description and we've got our title. So description done, title done, all good. Now, we're still unlisted here because we haven't actually released this video yet. The next thing I like to do is my tags. Now, tags have reduced in importance in recent times. We scroll down to the bottom here. They used to be super important. Now, not so much. So it's still important to actually put these in here, but don't spend a whole heap of time. Now, here's the cool thing. Check this out. recommended tags. So we've got tag tools here, we've got a keyword explorer, and we've also got recommended tags. So for something like this, I would probably start putting tags in that I think are going to be good. So I definitely want something like GarageBand EQ. And what you'll notice here is that I do these, it's going to give me these related search terms. Now, these are all search terms that are recommended by TubeBuddy based on what people are actually searching for on YouTube. This is where it gets super powerful, yeah? So GarageBand EQ tutorials there. We've got GarageBand Equalizer, GarageBand EQ plugin. All of these are relevant. GarageBand EQ explained. You don't want to put stuff in here that's not relevant. GarageBand EQ settings, put all those in there. Then I want something like GarageBand Visual EQ. So GarageBand Visual EQ is there. GarageBand Visualizer, we'll put in there. So they're relevant ones as well. I'll then come down here to the Keyword Explorer and take a bit of look at here. So if we go GarageBand EQ, what else do we have here? Well, we can look at who's searching. So this one, I won't go into detail here, but this gives you how many people are actually searching the term GarageBand EQ. And this says that the score is fair because very few people are searching for it, but there's not much competition for it. So there's not a whole bunch of videos about GarageBand EQ, but the reason it's only a fair score is not many people are searching for it either. So that's something. You can go to here to common tags too, and you can see some of these common tags that you want here. So if I wanted to do this, so these ones are all pretty commonly used tags. Make sure that they're all how to use GarageBand, mixing with GarageBand, GarageBand mixing, action. We want to insert into current video, and done. So that's put all of those back into our tags. And we come back to this screen and look, boop, 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 like magic, it's put all those in there. We can then come down to here and let's just add some more recommended tags that are a little more generic. GarageBand, GarageBand iPad, Garage Spaceband, How To, GarageBand for Beginners. There you go. So we've got 388. I normally try to fill up the 500 there with tags to put in here. So what else can we go? GarageBand Tutorial iPad. It's weird when there's things like come up here like GarageBand Guide and Dean Davis and other people that do things. GarageBand Mixing. All right, so we'll go with that for now. I'll probably fill the rest of those in, but I'm conscious of time here. So we'll hit the save button there. You can see how TubeBuddy really helps you with that. Instead of flying blind, you're actually knowing what people are searching for. And oftentimes when I go through those tags, it might make me actually rethink the description and the title that I put there. Now, again, to relate this back to someone that might be releasing a song, you wouldn't be having this sort of stuff here. But say you're doing a metal song. You'd put in there death metal. It might give you then a whole bunch of different tags and description ideas about what you can put here. So this, for your death metal song, it may be a death metal song created in GarageBand using the blah plugin and with this sort of guitars. And then you'll use that to populate out your tags to make sure your title's relevant and to make sure people are actually seeing your stuff. That's what I'm going through here. So that's all done there. Now, if we come back here and we recheck these, it'll give us an update on what we've done. So you can see here, we've now got rid of those the things that we wanted there. Now it's got add to a playlist. So what playlist does this need to go to? Well, we need to come in here, and I've actually got a GarageBand iOS goodness playlist, which is one of them there. I'm pretty sure I've got an EQ playlist, so I can just search EQ here, EQ in GarageBand. There you go. They're the two relevant playlists that this should go into, and we'll hit save on there. So that is done. End screen. Now, an end screen is the screen at the end of a video that pops up when you finish watching it. You've seen these before. They've got like a subscribe, and they might have a video button on there as well. So let's hit the end screen button here and add this end screen in. We're going to go to Element up the top here. Now, by default, it does an end screen for the last 20 seconds. That's probably what we'll do. So we'll hit the element here. We'll put a subscribe button, and I tend to just put this in the top right corner. So if someone's got to the end of a video, they're like, hey, that's pretty cool. I'd like to see more. It'll pop up that subscribe button there. And the other element I put here is a relevant video for the person that's just watched that, or even better is a relevant playlist. So I'm assuming someone watching this is interested in GarageBand EQ. So I'm going to go playlist here. And I'm going to use this one here, EQ in GarageBand iOS. I've got 14 videos in my GarageBand playlist. Now for you, If it was a song, you may want to link to a playlist of a bunch of your other songs, because that's actually going to help people discover more of your music. So we'll pop this down here in the bottom corner. We'll pop it just up a little bit so it's above that line. And to preview this, we just hit play. So not saying that Sion's not right here. It is. If you need to find it, if you need to have an analyzer, use these two in conjunction. And you can, of course, have them both on at the same time. You can use multiple. Make sure you do have them at the very bottom of your All right, so because it's such a short video, I actually want both of these to be a little bit later. I need to sneeze. The joy of live sneezes. So I want these to be a little bit later, so you can just grab them and actually put them at any point in the video. So I actually don't want it to be, because I'm showing a bunch of stuff there, I want it to be down at the very bottom of your plugin chain though. Generally speaking, you want to have your EQ at the end as opposed to up here at the start. So I'd put it just above your visual EQ there. There you go. Gary is doing a metal song. I thought that would be the case, Gary. You're often doing metal songs. All right, so we'll hit save on that one. And every time you do something here, you can come down here and update your best practices, and it will tell you what you're left to do. Now, the last things to do, get a like on Facebook. Well, we're going to release this video in a moment, and if someone likes it, then it's going to be liked. But when we actually get to this, you can, oh, by the way, yeah, good point from Tom Rochelle. Once you've done a few end screens, you can import from another similar video. Spot on. And I should have showed that. Good point. See, this is why you're here. So you would have noticed here that we added those in there. We can actually import, actually won't show it now, but before you start putting things in there, it'll give you an option up the top there that you might have seen that was import from previous video. And you can do that, which makes, if you're using the same sort of end screen at the end of every video, makes it super important. Makes it super easy. All right, we'll finish up here by doing our thumbnail and info cards. So info cards are those little cards that pop up at the top. I don't really need one on here. Actually, there's one spot I think I need one. What I might do is let's add a link to LRC7, because I've got a video on LRC7 and I mention it and start using it whereabouts? Down about here. There we go. So as I'm going into LRC7, let's add a card. So I just clicked on cards out there. We're going to go video and my videos, LRC7. There it is. So that will just pop up a little card at that point and it will say, here's a video. We'll hit save on that one. Now, the one thing that this doesn't tell you to do is monetize. So because I'm a member of the YouTube Partner Program, I do want to monetize this video. So I'll come in here to monetization. Now, because it's a short video, I don't get many options. I just go on and hit next. This is all the guidelines. So this is me saying I don't have adult content or violence or shocking content, no harmful or dangerous acts, no sensitive events. So I can go none of the above. And this is me basically self-declaring to YouTube that we're all good. Now, what I'm going to do is put either skippable or non-skippable video ads. It defines which one it wants there, and I've got no choice here. It's going to put a pre-roll and a post-roll, but because it's only a 2.5 minute video, it won't put any mid-rolls. So we're done. We hit save, and that saves in the monetization. If I didn't want to monetize, no problem. All I need to do is leave the monetization off. We'll wait for that to save in, which just takes a couple of minutes, and we're done. Back to our channel content. Here we are good to go. Final thing we need is a thumbnail, because no one's going to click on that as the thumbnail, my little Studio Live Today logo. We need a thumbnail. And where do we do our thumbnails? Of course, we do them back here at Canva. So all I'll do is I'll find my previous GarageBand thumbnail. So this one here, free limited plugin. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to make a copy so that we've got a new version here, and grab this one here. So this is what we have. Now, my daughter did something really cool here. I'll delete that and I'll delete that. My daughter did something cool. She created this second page on my template, which she called the Pointing Peats. So I can choose one of my pointing peats that's going to be relevant to the graphic that I choose that I'm pointing at, which is kind of cool. And they've all had the background removed using Canva. They're all ready to go. So we'll go back over to here. We need a snappy bit of text here. So what I'm going to put is maybe GarageBand. We need EQ visualization. Yes, it's not going to really fit visualize. So that's not really going to work. So EQ visualizer. Or yes, this is where I get a little bit caught. We'll go with that for now. The beauty part of all this is you can change this over time, and we'll make that 150. You can change all this over time based on what you're actually wanting to put there. Let's come back here. I've lost my I've lost my iPad screen, so we'll reshare this one if I can get Cubasis to play ball. Cubasis has a thing where you swipe down from the top corner, and it goes to its help screen rather than actually displaying it here. Yes, the pointing Pete's. Yeah, I recommend it, Tom. I know you do similarly with you, like with different versions of you. So if you are part of your thumbnail, you don't have to be, then do some pointing. Do some pointing stuff. All right, let's jump back over to GarageBand because what we need is a screenshot that we can actually share that displays what we want here. So we want the visual EQ. So we want to come here. We're going to go to there. We're going to go to plugins and EQ, visual EQ, and we want to have the analyzer on. Oh, it was on, and we want it to actually be playing. Let's just put a couple of moves in there to make it look even a bit cooler and funkier. And I'm just going to hit play, and I'm going to try and take a screenshot here of a point that's going to look cool for this thumbnail. How was that? Did we do well? Yeah, that's pretty darn cool, yeah. Let's go with that. Now, the beauty part here is that we can just, because we're all in the Mac and the Apple world, we can just share this. We can airdrop it straight to my Mac Mini, and that's going to pop up over on here. You can hear the bip, 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 bip. So it's dropping in now. It's coming in. Come in, spinner. And that should be close to done. There we go. We've received it. So it's come in over here, and then we can just grab it. If I go to here, we can go to my Finder and go to my downloads. It should be dropped right there. There it is. So here you go. So there is the file that we need. That's the image. And then all we need to do is bring this into Canva. And again, I love Canva for this sort of stuff. There's the image. All we need to do is drag it and drop it straight into Canva. And look at that. It brings it straight in. It uploads it. And now it's on our Canva account forever. And we can use this. Look, here's I've got literally thousands of images here in Canva that I've used over the years. So we can click that. We bring it straight in here. We just line this up as our background by stretching it out and finding a location for it like that. Hit the position button up here and go backwards to put it behind and line it up where it's going to look cool. Maybe something like that. Is that going to be cool? Yeah, that's going to create some... I left that dot there, unfortunately. I kind of want it there, but I'm low on time, so I should have just put that red dot out of the way. But instead, we'll just bring it up there. That's going to look cool anyway, because then you've got a little bit of the green and yellow down there as well. And now let's find a pointing Pete. Actually, we'll move this. We need a little bit more white. So we'll give a bit more white space. We'll grab that, drag it down, put this in the middle. Boom. And which pointing Pete shall we choose? Let's go. We did one with the red, maybe this Foo Fighters pointing Pete with his thumb. So we'll just copy that. We'll paste it here, and then we'll pointing Pete, popping out the bottom, and pointing to the visualization like that. And that way we get a little bit of everything in there. We'll lighten it up here with the adjustment, brightness, a little bit of brightness, a little extra contrast. Boom. Thumbnail. Done. Who'd click that? If you're looking to learn about the visualizer, that's cool, yeah? That'll do it. All right, so let's actually, we'll rename it here. So thumbnail, and we'll call it GarageBand VQ. Boom, and then we'll hit download. And download just that page one. I know this is all quick. This wasn't meant to be a full Canva tutorial. It's more to show you how powerful this is and how easy it is to do this. And a lot of people create videos, but they don't spend this 30 minutes or 20 minutes doing their optimization of their video. And you're going to pay the price for that, because why wouldn't you do this to get, 2 times, 3 times the amount of exposure? You might as well give your video a chance to be seen by people, and just doing these few little tweaks will give you a greater chance of that. So all we need to do now is come down here, hit the thumbnail, and we're going to go to this one here, GarageBand EQ. Boom, EQ visualizer. And I don't have GarageBand up the top there, but it really doesn't matter, because you can see it's GarageBand. A GarageBand user will know this is GarageBand. So hit save on that one. We've now done everything that we need to do for this one. And Sion's like, that's how the Pete appears. I thought you took pictures every time. I do go in and refresh sometimes, just so that we've got some fresher pictures. Otherwise, it's the same one over and over again. But as you can see, I've got like 30 of them there, so it's pretty good. So there you go. That's everything done. That's everything ready to go. The only thing we don't have is a like on Facebook. I'll release it. And if someone goes and likes it on Facebook, when I share it, then we'll do that, because I'll show you that as the final stage of this process, is how we'll then share this. So what I'm going to do, we're going to make this public. Done, save, It's public. It's in the world. This video has just gone out. So there you go. While I am live, I've released a video, and it's how to use the visualizer. And you'll notice that I spelt visualizer with a Z using the American spelling, and that is because a large majority of my audience here is in the US. So in fact, I'll show you something. Something else cool that you get here with TubeBuddy is you get your TubeBuddy dashboard and analytics here. So I'll bring this one up. That's not the one I wanted, is it? No. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. That was my regular dashboard. I need the TubeBuddy dashboard, which is a different one. Let me just grab that. That is TubeBuddy. I found it beforehand and it was really cool. Is it the analytics? There's like a one-pager cool dashboard that I found here in TubeBuddy that I now can't find. Not to worry. You know what we'll do? Instead of doing that, we will. I'll show you how we can now share this. So this is probably one of the more important things that you do once you've actually got your video out there, that you actually share it somewhere else. So I mentioned Facebook before, and I've mentioned the Create, Record, Release group. A question there from RX2, is TubeBuddy an add-on? Yeah, it's a Chrome extension. So if you go down to the description, I'll just go to Create, Record, Release here. If you go down the description, you can download the Chrome extension, install it on your Mac or your PC. There is a mobile version that you can use on your iPhone or iPad. Doesn't quite work as well. So yeah, you can download TubeBuddy, you can install it, and then the free version gives you a bunch of this stuff, and you'll see what you can't get. I use the Pro version, and then there's like a Epic version and a Legend version or something like that. So here's how I share my stuff on Facebook. Is I'll come in here, we'll say use a photo or video, because I've carefully curated this thumbnail. We'll put there. We'll then come over here to my channel and we'll grab the link by clicking here. We've already had 11 views. We'll click this one. We'll go get shareable link, and I'll paste that in here. And we'll say, hey, creators, check. I can't write stuff on the fly. Hey, creators, ever wondered about the visualizer in the EQ visualizer? Visualizer in GarageBand, and if you should actually use it when mixing, and there you go. And then we'll post that one. So that's it. So, and again, because this is my group, I can obviously post a video in there, and there's no problem. If you're just using other people's groups, it's a good idea to check the rules and make sure you're not going to be spamming or you're not going to be breaching the rules by posting a link to a video. But yeah, that is something you can do. And obviously you can paste on your own pages, your own Facebook pages. You can post it to Reddit. You can post it to Twitter. You can put it on Instagram and put a link in your bio on Instagram. There's a heap of ways you can promote your video. But there you go. It's now there on YouTube, on Facebook. And in fact, if I like it, look, someone's already liked it. So there you go. So our man here, Bo, has already liked the video. So let's test. Let's check out how good TubeBuddy is if it already knows, because it's integrated and linked in with my Facebook page. It should actually come in here and tell us. If we go back to the studio and we go back to that video, which is here, this one here. Yeah, so we can now come down here and we can recheck all of these, and there you go. Oh, it hasn't registered yet. So it hasn't got a like on Facebook yet. But what you'll notice now is we've got new best practices. So because this is a released video now, it's asking me to heart a comment and to reply to a comment. So if we come to comments here, have we got any comments yet? We have a heart from Sadrin78. So if we like that one and heart it, and just come in here and reply and say, thank you, thanks, and hit reply, then that is going to update that. We come back here and we go back to our best practices, and it still wants a like on Facebook. So it hasn't quite registered that we've had all these likes. Look at that. We've got Gary Hubs, Patrick Chandler. You got you folks that are liking that. I'm going to like it myself, because nothing like big noting your own stuff. So there you go. That is it. That is what we wanted to go through here today, is to just show you a little bit of behind the scenes of what we do here when we release a video on Studio Live today. And it is as simple as that. If you release your own videos, then this might have been useful. Even if you're just creating if you're creating music and you want to share visualizations of your videos or you want to do other things, then you can do that as well. And it just helps enhance it. And again, check the description. There are links there, affiliate links to Canva if you're looking to get into Canva for your design work, and a link to TubeBuddy if you want to check it. Even if you install the free version and just dig around, just do some of the analysis on your channel. It can be really cool. Yeah, I still can't find that. I was really wanting to find that cool page that I found before, but now I don't know where it is. Is it analytics? No, that's just taking me to there. There's actually, the health report. I found it. I found the health report. So if this is pretty cool, and this is a pro feature. So you might say, why would you want the pro feature over everything else? And I'm just checking to make sure I can actually show you everything on here, that there's nothing that I can't, none of the info that YouTube doesn't want me to show you. No, I think it's cool. But check this out. If you're a lover of dashboards like I am, this is cool. At a glance, you can see how your channel's going. And this is a last 30 days kind of view. So take a bit of a squeeze. This is my channel. 20 million views, 86,000 subscribers, 1,650 videos in total. But we can see my performance here. So you can see the views and subscribers and engagement that I've had over the last 30 days and whether that's up or down. So I've gone down a bit. So my last month, we've gone down a little bit, but it's not too bad. And that's happening generally right across YouTube. As more countries open up, less people are inside watching YouTube, more people are out and about actually doing things. So that's going to happen. You can see your engagement here. So how many comments I've got, how many thumbs up versus thumbs down. So thumbs up are down, but thumbs down are down even more. So proportionally, that's cool. I can see all the different YouTube searches that find my channel. So the number one search is how to fix charger not charging. And these are cool because this can tell me what to kind of double down on. So I can say, oh, people are searching for that PreSonus Iris 3.5. So there's a review I did on that. Maybe I do a follow-up video on that one because people are starting to search for it. Then got demographics down here. So I know that my age group here, believe it or not, 18 to 24 is my biggest age group. And 25 to 34 is second. People my age are only 17%. So that's interesting stuff because I probably assume that this would be my biggest demographic, people in my age group, 35 to 44. But no, it's actually younger folks that are watching this. So I must just be super cool. Couldn't keep a straight face. You can even see your demographics broken down there by gender. You can do it by device. So 54% of you are using an iPhone to watch videos, or a mobile device, should I say. 27% desktop, 15% tablet, only 2% on TV. So I'm not going to bother enhancing my stuff for 4K, knowing that very few people are watching it on a device that's probably 4K. Most of you are on your tiny screens or maybe a 1080p monitor. So that just tells me what to do there. And region, this is what I was talking about before, that of all my views, 280,000 of them have come from the US, then India, UK, Canada, the Philippines, and Australia is like right down here. So my reach with so that's why when I said before, the reason that I use American spelling in my titles is why would I put Australian spelling and confuse folks in the US when 280,000 views come from the US every month and only 20,000 views come from Australia? That would make no sense, yeah? So there you go. Very cool feature that you have there with your TubeBuddy. So do check it out. There you go. Tom's a proud member. Yeah. Where's my 17% at? There you go. Alrighty. Thanks everyone for being here. That is going to do it for today. If you did have questions that I didn't answer, drop them in the comments. I will be there through the day. This is kind of like my Friday night now because I usually take a couple of days off. I was working hard. Even though I was away, I was working hard over the weekend, putting out videos and doing live shows, except that we've got one more show. I kind of forgot that I've shifted GarageBand weekly to tomorrow. So at the 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, you can check out GarageBand Weekly. And we are looking at, I think Barry Smith, you had this question earlier, Logic on the iPad Pro. Is it? Will it? Won't it? How will it? We're going to try and do some predictions. We're going to try and look in our crystal ball and see whether that's a thing that will actually happen in the future. What do you think? let me know. That is going to do it for this show. Remember, if you do want to buy some gear, including some of the cool t-shirts that I wear here, you can jump over to studiolivetoday.com/gear. That is all the gear we have here. And yeah, that new t-shirt section that I've added down to the bottom if you want to buy any of the t-shirts that I wear here on the show, or a Studio Live Today t-shirt, or the new Practice Makes Progress t-shirt, which I will continue working on, I promise. So thank you all for being here. Please be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and keep creating. I'll see you.